Chapter 1359. People with different horizons would have different views on things. This Tao-seeking state sea monster could only think of legendary creatures. After all, if a legendary creature appeared, it would definitely set off a storm of blood. If anyone could get it or win it over, it would be of great significance. It could be said that the combat power of their side would definitely be greatly improved. However, in the eyes of a venerable like Xueqin, she knew that in this world, in addition to the legendary creatures, there were also mutants left from ancient times and mysterious creatures that were too extraordinary to be defined. This Xueqin was responsible for the daily patrol of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. Therefore, she was both very surprised and pleasantly surprised to see such a creature appear. In order to avoid alerting the enemy, Xueqin had been calm and did not take action, but observed in secret. The reason why she dared to confirm that it was a mysterious creature or a mutant creature was that she had tested it several times by parasitizing other Tao-seeking creatures. However, she didn't even see the shadow of the big fish before she was bitten to death. He didn't have any experience dealing with such a creature, and neither did anyone else. If legendary and mysterious creatures were really so easy to catch, then there should be at least one in the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. But in fact, there was no such creature of this level in the entire Blood Sea Divine Wood City. How could she not be cautious? In the sea area outside the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, about 500,000 kilometers away, Han Fei was waiting for an opportunity. His purpose was actually very simple. He was waiting for an opportunity to send the Fish Dragon King into the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. At this moment, Han Fei was ambushing a Tao-seeking state fire essence crab with his Gemini Divine technique. Because it was close to the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, it was said that there were big red trunk everywhere. Therefore, the creatures around here were either heat-resistant or fire-resistant, and their species were relatively simple. Different from the Baibei Royal City, which wanted everything as long as they were talented enough, the creatures that could enter the Blood Sea Divine Wood City were mostly fire attribute creatures, except for the Millennium Snappers that had taken the red balls. As for other creatures, although the Blood Sea Divine Wood City wouldn't kill them randomly, they were not qualified to enter the 500,000 kilometers of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. Otherwise, they would be easily hunted. The creatures living around the Blood Sea Divine Wood City all year round knew this very well. Therefore, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't go within 500,000 kilometers of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City at all. Gotcha! That fire essence crab was completely unaware. Suddenly, the soil under its feet rose up and a small part of its body disappeared. 3 of the crab's claws were bitten off, and half of the crab's shell was broken. The crab was shocked. He had clearly sensed his surroundings, but there was nothing. It frantically scanned the area with its perception, but it still couldn't find any living beings. Crack! The fire essence crab still wanted to run, but its body suddenly stiffened and it realized that it couldn't run anymore. Then, it saw a patch of black coming at it, and then nothing. Han Fei took another bite and killed the fire essence crab. When a wisp of soul and vitality returned along the void lines, it slowly turned into a black shadow again and quietly left, leaving only the shell of the fire essence crab. When Han Fei was 1,000 kilometers away, he found another place and lay down. Han Fei complained, "It's been 3 months, but this Blood Sea Divine Wood City hasn't even had a large-scale adventure. I can't even stuff someone in there." The old turtle replied, "I don't care about that. It's just that you have hunted a lot of Tao-seeking state creatures. A few times ago, some venerables investigated you, but you were lucky that they didn't find you. If you continue to hunt like this, sooner or later, you will attract the attention of others." Han Fei sighed slightly. "I haven't hunted many, and my soul has almost been replenished. However, according to the strength of my original soul, there should be at least 30% room for growth at this moment. My vitality and lifespan have not been replenished yet. There are still more than 300 years left." The old turtle scoffed. But you don't have to stay here all the time. If you really can't do it, you can come back later. Han Fei shook his head. Then I won't hunt for now, but I have to wait. The outside world is so big. When the fish dragon king goes in, I can go anywhere. The old turtle was puzzled. What about the little girl you saved before? The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. Her? Now she is too weak, and she is meaningless to me. Don't you all care about karma? In the future, I will always have a chance to get it back from her. The old turtle was speechless. He thought to himself, this kid is young, but he's really scheming. There were 2 more on the White Shell Royal City's side. Now there were 2 more on the Blood Sea Divine Wood City's side. What were they thinking? The old turtle couldn't help but ask, what exactly are you planning? Han Fei smiled. I'm not planning anything. I just have a long-term vision. Let's talk about it in the future. Hearing the old turtle's question, Han Fei suddenly had mixed feelings and seemed to understand old Han's feelings at the beginning. However, unlike old Han's plan, everything he did was just a small foreshadowing. Han Fei didn't expect it to play a big role. But what if it did? If everything went as he expected, then it would be worth it to bury this chess piece. Besides, old Han had promised the Life Queen that he would help her annihilate the 2 royal cities anyway. It was better to arrange for some spies to go in first than to break in by force. Suddenly, the old turtle roared, "Run!" Han Fei shuddered. The old turtle was so straightforward and didn't even say a word of nonsense, so there was only one possibility. A powerful venerable had taken action in person. Swoosh! Han Fei flicked his tail, tore the void and burrowed in. Xueqin could only see a shadow disappearing in the darkness from afar, but the creature in the darkness actually tore the void and escaped. Its sensitivity was far beyond her imagination. As expected of a mysterious creature. What a fast reaction. Xueqin didn't stop at all. With a thought, she entered the void. However, as soon as she entered the void, she saw a teleportation array appear in the distance. Bam! When Xueqin sensed it, the teleportation array exploded, and Han Fei was nowhere to be seen. Damn it! Xueqin's face darkened. She immediately stepped out of the void and spread her perception for 10,000 kilometers. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no movement. Xueqin's expression changed. A teleportation array traveled 10,000 kilometers? She felt that Han Fei's talent was too terrifying. Although she only caught a glimpse of it just now, the black shadow was indeed in the shape of a fish. However, that kind of black was a little strange. It actually deceived her vision. She used her perception to perceive the shape of the water, so she could barely tell that it was a fish. Sure enough, it's mysterious. Legendary creatures won't have such characteristics, nor will they be so mysterious. Otherwise, how can I distinguish between mystery and legend? It was just that, such a good mysterious creature in the end, because of his rash actions, he caught it and lost it. What should she do? Xueqin thought that she was fast enough. Not only did she hide her aura, but she also didn't dare to show her face. What went wrong? 50,000 kilometers away, in a seaweed jungle, a shadow flashed on a reef and Han Fei suddenly appeared. This was the directional teleportation array he reserved for himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to teleport so far. Fortunately, he was smart enough to know that he had to be vigilant at all times when he was wandering near the royal city. Han Fei didn't hide, nor did he escape. Instead, he began to swim with a school of fish. Taking advantage of the shaking posture of the school of fish, he hid in it and left this seaweed jungle. He wouldn't use this place a second time. The old turtle said, "This person came very fast and hid very well. If it weren't for the heavenly secret, I almost didn't notice him. This means that a strong master in the Blood Sea Divine Wood City has noticed you. You're a venerable now, but if a king stares at you, do you think you can really avoid it?" Han Fei frowned. Son of AB*TCA. Is this Blood Sea Divine Wood City full of dead people? Don't they need to go out to train? The old turtle said, they must have a teleportation array and a special trial ground. Han Fei said, but it's not that nobody comes out. The old turtle said, actually, there is a way. If you can find one of their training grounds, everything will be solved. Their trial ground can't be inside the Wall of Death. Excluding the Shuemu Heavens and the White Shell Royal City, you have the sea map. You can take your time to find it. Besides, you don't have to keep wandering here at the risk of being discovered. Han Fei's eyes lit up and he immediately said, then why didn't you say so earlier? The old turtle said, I didn't know that they went out so infrequently. Do you think it's so easy to find them in secret realms one by one? Hearing the old turtle's words, Han Fei immediately wagged his tail and swam away. With the sea map in hand, it was not impossible that he couldn't find a blood demon trial ground. It was just a waste of time. 1 year and 3 months passed. Blood Sea Divine Wood City, a coral land near the Wall of Death. In the cave under a turtle, a shadow swam out. Han Fei said, Fish Dragon King, today is the time for you to sneak into the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. After this trip, you will no longer be the Fish Dragon King. In Forge the Universe, the Fish Dragon King's body trembled. Can I go out? Han Fei sneered. Don't be happy too early. Let me warn you first. Don't think that your life is really in your hands after you enter the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. Unless one day your strength can surpass mine. Otherwise, I will have plenty of opportunities to kill you in the future. Only by cooperating with each other can we succeed. The Fish Dragon King's body sank. How? Han Fei smiled and said, your strength is too low now. When you are strong enough, I will show up. Besides, I need to take away some of your memories. The third chapter. The protagonist will return in 2 days. End of this chapter. Chapter 1360. Except for the 4 battlefields of the Waterwood Heaven, the trial grounds of the Baibei Royal City and the Blood Sea Divine Wood City were all very secretive. Han Fei thought it wouldn't be difficult to find a trial secret realm. It turned out that Han Fei was wrong. After searching more than 300 secret realms, Han Fei finally found this one. He didn't know if it was because of his bad luck, but Han Fei felt that he had worked hard enough. It took him so long to find 1 secret realm a day on average. If it weren't for the fact that he was looking for the Millennium Snapper while searching for treasures, Han Fei felt that he wouldn't have used such a stupid method. Of course, this method wasn't bad. Although the secret realm was empty, it was not without gains. At the very least, the heavens didn't let down those who tried. Han Fei accidentally discovered an ancient realm, which turned out to be the place where a venerable realm whale had fallen. Although it was blocked by layers of seals and arrays, it had been a long time, and Han Fei's attainments in arrays were not weak, so he still broke the arrays and entered. At that time, Han Fei saw that the venerable skeleton was surrounded by spiritual stones, which extended for nearly a kilometer. Some spiritual stones even eroded the venerable's bones, causing the level of the bones to drop. But fortunately, Han Fei gained a huge amount of spiritual stones at once, expanding his wealth by nearly 5 times. It was for this reason that Han Fei was willing to explore the secret realms one by one. Although he didn't gain as much as the first time, just 3 days ago, Han Fei finally found this blood demon trial ground. It was reasonable to say that this place shouldn't be accessible from the outside. But when he passed by this place, Han Fei found that there was some singing coming from the crab cave. Only then did he find that there was a different world under the coral, a place where one could crazily devour. The so-called crazily devouring place was the kind of place that Han Fei had experienced when he found the big red trunk. When people entered the illusion, they turned into fish and led the fish to devour each other. The winner would encounter the red ball fruit, and the one who swallowed the fruit would become a Millennium Snapper. This was a scene that Han Fei had encountered before. However, here, it seemed to be a little different. One was that the species of fish were different. When he transformed into a fish, he didn't transform into a millennium snapper, but a piranha-like fish. But here there were millennium snappers. From this, Han Fei concluded that this was the place where the Blood Sea Divine Wood City raised Gu. The millennium snapper was thrown here to be selected. After repeated battles, the last one left was the real strong one. The only thing that Han Fei didn't understand was that the species of the millennium snappers were all the same. How could the Fish Dragon King hide among them? Needless to say, there must be a way to distinguish the identity of the millennium snapper. It was impossible to let them in to raise Gu. Otherwise, who would own the Gu after it was nurtured? It was hard to explain. However, Han Fei felt the aura of a strong master who could make him feel threatened. The old turtle said, "There are venerables, but they shouldn't be strong. They might be beginners." Han Fei was surprised. "The venerable one is taking care of it personally?" "That's not surprising," the old turtle said. "This kind of place to raise Gu is usually an important place for training." Han Fei frowned. "But how can the Fish Dragon King get in? This is still a problem." The old turtle said, "Don't you have some kind of disguise technique? Can't you just teach him a little?" Han Fei immediately said, "It's useless for him to learn the low-level ones. If I teach him a high-level one, where can I find him?" The old turtle said leisurely, "That's true. However, it's not difficult to pretend to be someone else. I do have such a technique. However, I have to catch a blood demon first." Han Fei grinned. "That's easy. It's just a blood demon. It's not a big problem." Han Fei turned into a black mist, stuck to the ground, and slowly drifted towards the trial field. Gu was the examiner of this secret realm. Her main task was to ensure a certain mortality rate and select some excellent millennium snappers. Her perception was patrolling all the time. In the hunting ground, two blood demons were fighting, overlapping combat skills and surging spells. Yilong's protective red leaf knife had been broken, the spells on her body were almost broken, and her spiritual energy was almost exhausted. She was running wildly. Behind her, someone shouted, "Yilong, you knew this day would come. We've fought 16 times. This time, you can't survive. Curse poison sting." Swish. Suddenly, Yilong paused and shot out a water condensation arrow while the person behind her was casting a spell. The person behind her was shocked. He had never seen Yilong use this move. When did she learn it? Puff. Because her speed was too fast and her strength was too fierce, she could kill anyone with a lightning strike. Jiyu had been paying attention to this battle, waiting for one of them to fall. She hadn't expected the scene to be reversed. The one being chased had actually survived? Interesting. Even now, she still has a trump card. This person is not bad. However, what she didn't know was that at the moment Yilong paused, her soul had been controlled. Han Fei's purpose was very clear. He just needed to hunt one person without anyone noticing. It was time to hunt. Han Fei controlled Yilong to go to a corner, took out spiritual fruits, and quickly recovered. Han Fei asked, "I've hunted her. Then what?" The old turtle said, "Then, it's the blood soul technique. As long as you swallow the soul of this millennium snapper and drink its blood, you can play as two people and share their memories. The disadvantage is that the one being swallowed is not really dead. If the Fish Dragon King's soul can't suppress it, it is very likely to be devoured in the future. Therefore, this technique is not very advanced. However, it's not difficult to impersonate someone without anyone noticing." Han Fei frowned as he listened. Swallowing souls and drinking blood? The old turtle was really a devil. Han Fei asked the Fish Dragon King and wanted to say, "This is the only way for you to sneak into the sea demons." However, as soon as he spoke, the Fish Dragon King readily accepted it. Han Fei was speechless. "You're a heavenly talent. Why are you so shameless?" The Fish Dragon King seemed to know what Han Fei was thinking, but it knew very well that it had been tortured by you for so long. How could the disgusting act of swallowing souls and drinking blood be more painful than being humiliated by you? Before the Fish Dragon King swallowed the soul, Han Fei first looked at Yi Long's soul. Han Fei didn't intend to use the mind-manipulating technique because it still needed to be deduced and had side effect. Remembering Yi Long's name and appearance, Han Fei attached a black mist to Yi Long. Half a day later, Han Fei completed the replacement of the Fish Dragon King with just a diversion. And the real Yi Long had already become a soulless flesh and blood, without vitality. The Fish Dragon King was overjoyed. A new identity was not a big deal as long as it could survive. Han Fei had already extracted part of the Fish Dragon King's memory and said, "I've tried my best to send you to the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, so I naturally have the ability to find you. You can betray me, but if you see me again, you must die. But if you are willing to cooperate, then find a way to become a heavenly talent of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, collect all kinds of information about the Blood Sea Divine Wood and Patriarch Blood Demon, and tell me. You may have guessed why I want these things." The Fish Dragon King took a breath. "Do you want to destroy the Blood Sea Divine Wood City one day?" Han Fei shook his head. "No, I want the Blood Sea Divine Wood City to be without a king, but I don't necessarily want to destroy this race. Dragons can't be without a leader. In the future, if you can become a commander. But the premise is that you also have to be loyal to me." The Fish Dragon King's heart trembled, thinking, "You're only a Tao-seeking state cultivator, but you already want to kill a king and cultivate a trusted subordinate?" Han Fei said leisurely, "Believe it or not, it's your business. Whether I can do it or not, it's my business. That's all I have to say. I haven't killed you for so long, and if I have a chance in the future, I won't even bother to kill you. Of course, if I don't come here in the future, then you will indeed be free." The Fish Dragon King's expression was complicated. A person like Han Fei is too terrifying. My so-called life is insignificant in his eyes. What he was doing, however, was something that would take a very long time. Could this be the difference between him and the top heaven's favorites? The Fish Dragon King looked at this quiet and deserted place and couldn't find Han Fei's figure anymore. Only Han Fei's words rang in his mind, "You can go now. I'm going to hunt a venerable for fun." The Fish Dragon King flicked its tail and flew away quickly. This operation of stealing the sky and swapping the sun was really done without anyone knowing. However, the Fish Dragon King cursed in its heart, "Aren't you too good at bragging? Do you think I don't know when you passed the tribulation? It's only been a little more than 2 years, not even 3. Are you going to hunt a venerable?" However, the Fish Dragon King didn't know that Han Fei turned into a shadow and left in the direction of the venerable. The old turtle asked, "Now that you're hunting a venerable, are you not going to stay here anymore?" Han Fei sneered. "I always feel that the Blood Sea Divine Wood City is dangerous. There are evil cultivators here. What's the point of staying here all the time? I'm almost done with this Waterwood Heaven. In the short term, if anything happens, I'm afraid I won't be needed. I might as well end it early and go back to the Yin-Yang Heaven. There are still a lot of things waiting for me to do there." The old turtle nodded. "Then you can try. This place is more than 600,000 kilometers away from the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, and it's in a secret realm. With your current strength, there is a glimmer of possibility. However, if the other party has reached the intermediate venerable," Han Fei curled his lips. "I'm not stupid. It doesn't matter if I can kill a junior venerable or not. Finally, I met a junior venerable. I just want to see how big the gap between me and a junior venerable is." The old turtle said leisurely, "Although your strength has increased again during this period of time, no matter how strong you are still a semi-venerable. Even if you use all your secret methods, you can barely touch the venerable realm. However, fortunately, you have a lot of sea-quelling bizarre treasures, so you can use some of their power now." Han Fei grinned and thought, "As long as I have the strength to kill a venerable, I won't be hunted like before when I return to the yin-yang heaven. Besides, in the past year or so, I have been polishing my foundation, and there is still a lot of room for improvement. By then, the battle on the Scattered Stars Island will be a tribulation but also an opportunity. Others can't compete for the king's body, but I can. After all, I can switch identities. I can become a sea demon and cultivate with the king's body. Chapter 1361. Although he said he was going to hunt venerables, Han Fei wasn't in a hurry. In Forge the Universe, Han Fei's body and mind moved, and the surrounding spiritual energy suddenly surged. 1,000,000 caddies of spiritual spring suddenly disappeared, and the old turtle was stunned again. The old turtle knew that Han Fei must have done something again. This was not the first time such a thing had happened, and it must have something to do with this gourd. The old turtle could even guess that Han Fei had made an exchange with the little gourd. However, every time he saw this scene, he felt a little creeped out. No matter how worthless spiritual energy was, it was still 1,000,000 caddies. You said to use it, and you said to use it. Are you treating money as nothing? Would it be so fast if you used spiritual energy? But Han Fei didn't feel wrong at all. What he deduced was the soul manipulating technique, which had too many disadvantages. He felt very uncomfortable when he used it. However, this technique was indeed much more useful than the void lines. At the end of the day, the void lines were not invincible. Although there were many benefits, there were still some limitations. For example, the soul and vitality absorbed wouldn't be too much. He could read the memories of creatures, but only in fragments. These experiences woke Han Fei up. Only then did he remember that the void fishing art was actually just a book written by the 9 kings. Although it was transcendent, the king realm was actually just the sea expansion realm, and there were many great realms above it. This didn't mean that the void fishing art was bad. This technique was definitely top-notch. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a strange scene where heaven and earth cried on the day the book was completed. However, comparing the soul-manipulating technique with the void lines, Han Fei found that although the void fishing art had a higher comprehensive effect, its single effect was not necessarily the strongest. Han Fei even wondered if his golden body was about to be completed. Could he summon lightning to help him complete his golden body by deducing the 7th level of the void fishing art? However, Han Fei gave up this idea as soon as he thought about it. The 6th level of the void fishing art already corresponded to the venerable realm. Then, the 7th level should be able to fight against the king realm. As an explorer, if he recklessly deduced a king realm technique, could he survive even if he exhausted all his trump cards? That was a problem. Besides, when deducing, it would definitely cause a lot of noise. Han Fei quickly shook his head. He was overthinking. Now, he just wanted to fight against a beginner venerable, but he didn't expect so much. The reason why Han Fei deduced the soul-manipulating technique was that he wanted to know the situation of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City through the venerable's memory. After all, the Blood Sea Divine Wood City was the most mysterious place in the sea where the Shuemu Tian was. Under normal circumstances, the Sea Divine Fish would not leave the territory of the Sea Divine Wood City. However, the Blood Sea's Sacred Wood City never fell behind whenever something happened to the 3 great forces. The Blood Heaven to they would, willing to fight. The Vencia Fei that they Tian they heave sea. The White Fei was to the king that the sea. That the divine veners that they were to was that they that vent here would venef the sea of. They divine. With Li Chi. Ling with Fei, he with Li Anli. As a result, nearly 100 venerables from the Blood Sea Divine Wood City participated in that battle. In the territory of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, Patriarch Blood Demon, with the power of the Blood Sea Divine Tree, fought against 2 kings without being defeated. The White Armor Emperor and the Life Queen were not stupid. They naturally knew that the Blood Sea Divine Wood City's recuperation was only temporary. In the future, once Patriarch Blood Demon succeeded, he would definitely attack them. Therefore, the White Shell Royal City and the Shuemu Tian usually focused on attrition and inhibited each other's development. Every 100 years, the two sides would attack the Blood Sea Divine Wood City at least once. Not for anything else but to investigate Patriarch Blood Demon's strength. That was all Han Fei knew. As for why they only investigated Patriarch Blood Demon's strength instead of killing a group of Blood Sea Divine Wood City experts, Han Fei didn't know. Logically speaking, strength could be faked for a while. What if Patriarch Blood Demon pretended to be in a disadvantageous position, but was actually secretly advancing to the Imperial realm? If that happened, the situation in the sea would change yet again. Moreover, if they didn't consume the venerables of the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, what if the Blood Demon venerables became rampant in the future? Although there were the same number of King Realm experts, there were many venerables. Han Fei didn't understand why the Life Queen and the White Armor Emperor tolerated this problem. Therefore, he wanted to find out. After a while, the spiritual energy vortex suddenly stopped. A piece of information appeared in Han Fei's mind. Soul-searching technique, venerable level, ultra quality, introduction. This is a forbidden technique that goes against the heavenly Tao. It can forcibly peek at other people's souls. If the other party releases their souls, it will have no effect on the person being searched. If the other party forcibly resists, it may cause both sides to be devoured. Deduced art. Soulbreaker eye deduction cost. 1 wisp of chaotic energy drawback. If the strength of the person being searched is higher than the soul searcher, it is easy to be devoured. Note: if the other party's soul is seen through, there is a certain chance that they can see the other party's great path. The soul-searching art he obtained from the derivation this time was obviously much more powerful than the mind-manipulating art. The old turtle was indeed hiding it from him and didn't completely trust him. However, Han Fei keenly noticed that after deducing the venerable technique, it turned into chaotic energy. And now, he didn't even know what chaotic energy was. Also, there was a remark in the note. There is a certain chance that they can see the other party's great path. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Is the soul-searching technique so awesome? And there is a certain chance that they can see through the other party's great path? If he knew the other party's great path in advance, would he be able to destroy the other party's great path in the future? This was King great technique. No wonder the old turtle refused to teach it to him. Half a day later, Ji keenly noticed one person, which was Yi Long. The scene of this person's counterattack was still vivid in her mind. However, it was okay to counterattack, but if one's strength suddenly increased, it wouldn't be right. Ji murmured to herself, this person's comprehensive strength has increased by nearly 20%? Has she been hiding her strength before? Why? Of course, Ji didn't know that this body was originally the Fish Dragon King. However, the Fish Dragon King had already seen Yi Long's memory and had tried very hard to lower its strength standard. However, being a top heavenly talent and having a little talent were two different concepts. No matter how weak the Fish Dragon King was in Han Fei's eyes, it was actually the 10th strongest in the Baibei Royal City. How could ordinary people compare to it? Whether it was speed, footwork, strength, physique, soul, etc., the Fish Dragon King was much better than it. Therefore, it had tried very hard to pretend to be weak. It was also because of the Fish Dragon King's disguise that Ji was a little uncertain. Otherwise, if the Fish Dragon King's strength suddenly increased by 50%, Ji would immediately take it out and interrogate it. Well, I have to think about it when I go back. Ji nodded slightly. Suddenly, she felt a chill on her back, and she was shocked. There was no time to look back. A spell floated in the air behind her, blocking her body. At the moment the spell appeared, a red leaf blade blocked her back at the same time. After doing this, Ji immediately looked back. Crack! Clang! The rune armor was shattered in an instant, and the red leaf blade was sent flying. The law of time? Ji's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't seen the enemy yet, but she was shocked to discover the law of time. The enemy's attack changed the law of time. That was why this person could attack her in an instant. Otherwise, she would have noticed it long before the enemy got close. However, just as Ji confirmed that this was the law of time, she felt that her soul was stabbed in the next second. The reason was very simple. When Han Fei used the momentary time, he also used the soul-stunning spike. Clatter! The moment the fish skin picture appeared in the air. Ho! The roars of hundreds of beasts were soul-shaking. At this moment, Han Fei's soul power had already recovered, and it was much stronger than before in his peak state. This was the horror of the void fishing art, and it was also why Han Fei dared to cut his soul. At this moment, the strength of Han Fei's soul was no longer comparable to that of an ordinary semi-venerable. Under the double soul attack, even Ji, as a venerable, was inevitably dizzy. But no matter how muddle-headed Ji was, she knew that she had to summon a battle suit. However, Han Fei had already held the sword with both hands and poured all his spiritual energy into it. The spiritual energy attack, which had been disassembled to 60%, made Snowmorn bloom brilliantly, illuminating half of the secret realm. As soon as the sword was pulled out, the void turned white, and the sky was full of frost and snow. Chilla! Crack! Crack! Even though it was a high-grade divine weapon, it was still shattered by this sword. Han Fei's eyes narrowed. He had launched a sneak attack with all his killing moves, but he still failed to kill Ji. With another thought, Han Fei wrapped Ji with the infinity water. Rumble! Han Fei knew that as soon as the infinity water appeared, the battle here would be over in an instant. Otherwise, he would be discovered. At the moment Han Fei attacked, the sacrificing punch burst out. Ji was smashed into the bottom of the sea like a nuclear bomb. She didn't even have a chance to react. Whoosh! Before the blow failed, Han Fei used the sacrificing punch again. At the same time, the swallowing technique absorbed a huge amount of energy. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei had already held the embroidery needle and attacked with all his strength. Boom, boom, boom! Without the protection of the divine weapon, Ji was first covered in blood by the explosion of the infinity water, and then she took Han Fei's sacrificing punch at close range. Her chest was penetrated. Before this blow was over, another blow came. At this moment, the Monkey King had already swung out. Blood demons weren't good at physique. Or rather, most people's physiques couldn't be as strong as Han Fei's, who could have a golden body in the explorer realm. Therefore, this continuous bombardment had already taken away half of Ji's life. However, the old turtle shouted, "Remember, venerable realm experts can be reborn from a single drop of blood. When you're heavily injured, don't kill them. Lock the void and crush them inch by inch." As the old turtle spoke, Han Fei tried to trap Ji with the void lines. However, the next moment, Han Fei miscalculated. This person's soul actually blocked the void lines. And the moment Han Fei made a mistake, Ji had a chance. The spells all over her body lit up and were about to explode. Han Fei suddenly stepped back, holding the embroidery needle. Sky buckle. Swish. A spear pierced through the air, and the embroidery needle burst out a beam of light. The power of the sea-quelling bizarre treasure was demonstrated at this moment. Puff! Half of Ji's body was blasted into pieces, and Han Fei used the teleportation technique again, trying to destroy this person with another blow. However, Han Fei hadn't arrived yet. With a loud bang, Ji blew herself up. The void exploded, and Han Fei took the opportunity to crash into the void. At the last moment, Han Fei didn't forget to use his fishing hook and finally caught Ji's sun moon shell. As soon as he entered the void, the fish skin map unfolded and a teleportation array appeared. Ignoring the spurting blood, Han Fei had already drilled in. After Han Fei disappeared, only a second later, a blood-colored tree man appeared. Scanning and finding no one, the tree man stretched out its hand and grabbed, and a blood mist gathered. The blood mist intertwined and condensed into a person in a moment. It was none other than Gu. Chapter 1362. However, even if a venerable could be reborn from a single drop of blood, it was not unlimited. The price of being reborn from a single drop of blood was very high, and after self-detonation, the price was even higher. Gu was horrified and hurriedly said, "Thank you for saving my life, ancestor." The bloody tree man sensed for a while. Strange aura. This person's realm is not high, but his strength is surprisingly strong. If you hadn't self-detonated in time, you would have lost your life. Forget it. He escaped so fast. I think he has already thought of a way out. However, this secret realm is useless. Don't use it again in the future. Gu endured the serious injury and hurriedly said, "I'll do it right away." The bloody tree man said lightly, "Forget it. You're too badly injured. Go back and rest." On the other side, Han Fei hid in Forge the Universe and cast a holy light technique on himself. At this moment, the wounds all over his body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The old turtle said, "Did you see that? Although this person is not a beginner venerable, she is far from the peak level of a beginner venerable. Even so, it's not easy for you to take her down now. This is the gap between an explorer and a venerable." Han Fei gritted his teeth. "Her strength may not be as good as mine." The old turtle shook his head slightly. "It's not because of strength, but because of the gap in realms, the gap in the use of spiritual energy, and the gap in the reaction of the soul. Your mistake is that you shook the opponent's soul with a technique with a probability of failure. The soul is a person's most secret power. You know how to cultivate the soul and you have the gourd's secret treasure. Don't you think she knows how to protect it?" Han Fei was convinced this time. However, Han Fei was not sad. This was the first time he had hunted a venerable. It was normal that he had no experience. It was a pity that he had prepared the soul-searching technique in advance, but it didn't come in handy. But in any case, this sneak attack made Han Fei clearly realize one problem. He was not strong enough to challenge a venerable. Although he was strong enough to shake a venerable, there was still a big gap between him and the venerable before he reached the peak level. After this attempt, Han Fei immediately understood the significance of the two realms, peak level and semi-venerable. This was more like a division of power levels, and it was closely related to the disintegration of the great Tao and spiritual Qi. To put it more bluntly, it was related to a person's talent. The Blood Sea Divine Wood City did not find any clues about the venerable hunting incident. In the end, the investigation could only end in vain. Just like Xue Qin's discovery of the mysterious lifeforms, this matter had almost become a mystery. Gu was even puzzled. How did that person appear in the trial field? Plus, since that person had found his way to the training ground, why didn't he kill all the Heaven's favorites? Why did he attack me? These were all like unsolved mysteries. In the mysterious ocean, there might be many similar unsolved mysteries every day. If he really wanted to explore them one by one, he would never be able to finish exploring them even if it took him forever. 1 month later. Waterwood Sky, Dark War Port. In the past 2 to 3 years, there had been too many battles between Shuemu Sky and Whitebell's Royal City. It had even exceeded the total number of battles in the past 100 years. In fact, this kind of small-scale war could only be regarded as training. From the looks of it, there wouldn't be a large-scale war in the near future. Relatively speaking, the 4 major battlefields of Shuemu Sky were actually much safer. As long as the venerable powerhouses didn't take action and the Tao-seeking realm monsters held the line, even if the battles were a little more frequent, they wouldn't be on a large scale. The Fearless Barrier had been opened in the Dark War Port. A large number of Tao-seeking and Sea Demon realm creatures poured into the dark waters. Here, there had been battles for days. Outside the Fearless Barrier, Tao-seeking realm powerhouses occasionally passed by, and the experts from both sides would even occasionally meet and dislike each other. But this day was a little different. On this day, outside the Fearless Barrier, 5 people transcended the tribulation at once. This was a rare event. Even in Shuemu sky, on average, 1 or 2 people transcended the tribulation in a year. It was rare for one person to succeed. After all, in the long run, there would be 100 explorers in 100 years, and there would be more than 5,000 explorers in 10,000 years. This was the backbone of a force. This time, 5 people transcended the tribulation, which caused a stir in Shuemu sky. These 5 people were all people who had participated in the battle of landing on the island and survived. That kind of opportunity really made many people envious. However, the probability of dying in this kind of trial was also very high. 10 people went, 6 people returned. Among them, there was Han Fei, who was very elusive. Chong Lulu and Chong Xiaochong survived and bragged about how powerful Han Fei was, how he defeated the 6 blood demons and looted the 2 royal cities, which made the blood of many insects boil. Because this story was so exciting, Chong Lulu, Chong Xiaochong, and Phoenix Head 7 once became the stars of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree. Today, these 5 people all chose to transcend the tribulation in the Dark Warport, and the White Shell Royal City still sent people to fight. However, the people who came this time were different. Among the people who came, there were Han Fei's acquaintances. Prawn Yue, Umbrella 7, and Su Yi Cha were among them. For the outside world, although Prawn Yue, Umbrella 7, and the others were the top heavenly talents of the White Shell Royal City, they rarely left the White Shell Royal City. And the White Shell Royal City had a strict entry and exit system, so their true combat power was not known to outsiders. Even if they had gone to the island for the trial, Prawn Yue and the others were only listed as heavenly talents, which was at the same level as Chong Lulu and the others. However, the Insect King and the others naturally guessed it. Therefore, they also warned Chong Lulu and the others. They had to be careful in this tribulation battle. In the field, Chong Lulu and Chong Xiaochong were spitting at Umbrella 7 and the others with their big horns. Chong Lulu said, "Prawn, did you go to the island with me? Then do you know that I fought side by side with Han Fei and crossed the Blood Sea? I advise you to be sensible and take the tribulation obediently. Don't start a war." Chong Xiaochong buzzed. Yes, at that time, we defeated all the heavenly talents in the Blood Sea Divine Wood City. If you hadn't run fast, how could you have the chance to appear here now? Prawn Yue smiled lightly. Me. It's because we didn't fight at that time that we regret it. Today we specially come to teach you a lesson, regardless of life or death. Chong Lulu said, "Oh, you are so arrogant. They both have shells. Can your horn compare to this insect's horn?" Prawn Yue smiled. "Let's see." Chong Lulu was infuriated by Prawn Yue's arrogant attitude. Just as he was about to fight, he heard a "paw" sound. Limelight Achi flapped his wings and said, "Idiot, that person is definitely not weak. Let's wait and see." On the other side, a tree demon stood out. "I'll fight the first battle. The demonic plant clan is full of vitality and won't die easily." As soon as this tree demon appeared, a Tao-seeking realm great demon said casually, "You guys, go." Su Yi stepped out with a fierce look. "You're just a tree demon. I'll kill you in 3 moves. Wow. Everyone was in an uproar. On the Shuemu heavenly side, countless onlookers looked awful. Someone yelled, "You're bragging! Bei Mu is a top heavenly talent of the demonic plant clan. How can you kill him so easily?" Someone cursed, "What did the Baibei Royal City send this time?" Chong Lulu shouted coldly, "Do you believe that I can stab you to death with my horn?" However, amidst the scolding, Su Yi licked his lip. "My name is Su Yi. I'm ranked 8th on the Baibei Royal City's prodigy roll. I won't retreat today. I won't reject anyone who wants to fight. Do you dare to fight?" Hiss! Hearing Su Ye's words, countless people gasped. Ranked 8th on the Baibei Royal City's prodigy roll? Is this soul ball so powerful? In the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, the 4 races were usually ranked according to their own race. This Bei Mu had never been ranked 10th on the prodigy roll. At most, he was ranked 10th in his own race. Didn't this mean that Su Yi was much stronger? Chong Lulu couldn't help but look at Chong Xiaochong. Is this person so powerful? In the past, the people who came were not ranked 100 on the Baibei Royal City's prodigy roll. At most, they were ranked 70 or 80. Why is he ranked 8th this time? Bei Mu's face darkened. Don't panic. We can't be afraid of the battle. I'll go and fight him. Bang bang. Bei Mu's hands were like branches probing the water, and waves surged. When he came out of the water again, there were two huge pillars that were like whip. They were like dragons swimming out of the sea, heading straight for Su Yi. That wasn't all. From Bei Mu's chest, a third hand held a spear and pierced through the void. The spear stabbed forward and bloomed at the same time, forming hundreds of spear shadows. Knowing that Su Yi was ranked 8th on the Baibei Royal City's prodigy roll, Bei Mu naturally didn't dare to underestimate him. He had used 2 killer moves right from the start. The double lock-on technique was already extremely powerful. Good! The beings of the Demon Plant Clan shook their branches and cheered. Some insects buzzed. That's the tree demon's soul-splitting spike. It's hard to block even with all your strength. A big bird cried. Don't relax. Continue to attack and stab him to death. Amidst the cheers, Su Ye's lips curled up. With a crackling sound, thousands of super-long tentacles appeared in the void. Pft, pft, pft. The tentacles tore through the void and filled the sky with cracks. The long tentacles formed a spiral and instantly cut Bei Mu's 2 monster plant vine pillars into pieces. Bei Mu's soul-splitting spike suddenly paused. 100 long tentacles in the air wrapped around the attack from both sides. Bang bang bang. There were continuous explosions, and the waves were pushed back. Bei Mu suddenly had a sense of danger and wanted to retreat. However, a large number of tentacles appeared under him, and a giant anemone appeared. Su Yi sneered. Me. I forgot to tell you. I'm also from the monster plant race. Chi. Bei Mu's arms were instantly wrapped up and cut into hundreds of pieces. The large number of tentacles under him were about to crush him. Swish! A shadow flickered in the air. Who is it? Before Su Yi could react, a supremacy from the Baibei Royal City shouted and a peak stage Dao-seeking grand monster attacked. Poof! At that moment, silver light illuminated the world. In a flash, the sea was divided, and a terrifying ravine was reflected in the sky. The supremacy was about to attack again, but a delicate voice came. Someone is spoiled and is very willful. I can't do anything about it. Everyone was surprised. Isn't this the voice of the Jing messenger? In midair, the figure threw out a crimson fist mark, which was like a pillar of light soaring into the sky, striking the sky for hundreds of kilometers. The peak stage Dao-seeking grand monster who tried to save Su Yi was crushed by the punch. Most of his body was shattered and he was dead. Everyone looked carefully, only to see a black figure holding Su Ye's neck with one hand and holding him in midair like a dead fish. He tilted his head proudly. F***CK The Tribulation Transcendence Battle. If the Baibei Royal City uses this as an excuse to exhaust the combat power of the Shuemu Heaven, I'll kill 100 of them if they hurt one of my people. The figure pointed at the sky and looked in the direction of the Baibei Royal City. The White Armor Emperor, a dignified king, is so stingy. Either you fight or you stop. Today, let me tell you, in terms of heavenly talents, I, Han Fei, surpass the heavenly talents of the Baibei Royal City. Su Yi was horrified. Why is Han Fei here? With Han Fei's strength, there's no reason for him to attack. But before he could think too much, his vision went dark. Han Fei exerted force in his hand and gently crushed him. With a bang, Su Yi exploded, shattered his bones, and died. Han Fei stepped forward. If you want to fight, I, Han Fei, will challenge the entire Baibei Royal City. Do you dare? If you don't dare, Get lost when the heavenly talents of the Shuemu heaven transcend the tribulation in the future. If you want to fight, the Shuemu heaven has been fighting for 100,000 years. Why should I be afraid? Let's fight. At this moment, Han Fei stood proudly in the void, pointed at the sky, raised his head, and cursed. Gulp! Countless people were moved and swallowed hard. As for who Suyi was, they had long forgotten about him. The bug took a sip. Good boy. Chapter 1363. Han Fei's domineering attack shocked the onlookers on both sides. Is this really Han Fei? How long had it been since Han Fei transcended the tribulation? It had only been 3 years. Besides, he was very elusive. The last time they heard about it was when Chong Lulu and the others went to the island. However, most of the peak-level law enforcers went to that battle. It was only natural that Han Fei fought all of them alone. After all, there was a huge gap between them. But now, Han Fei blew up a peak-level Dao-seeking expert from the Baibei royal city with one punch. How could they not be shocked? More importantly, the strength that Han Fei displayed at this moment seemed to have just entered the intermediate Dao-seeking state. Wow! What a terrifying growth speed! Gulp! He has grown so much in just 3 years? How domineering! However, isn't Han Fei a bit too arrogant? Who is he to challenge a king? Chong Lulu shouted, Han Fei, good job, good job. If you hadn't taken action, I would have killed him with my horn. How dare you! While the Shuemu heaven was shocked, 7 or 8 venerables from both sides appeared at the same time. A venerable from the Baibei royal city scolded, Shuemu heaven, Han Fei. How dare you, a mere explorer, try to change the rules that have been passed down for tens of thousands of years? These venerables were all surprised. They didn't sense anyone approaching. Where did Han Fei come from? Han Fei raised his head and chuckled. Rules are dead, but people are alive. The Shuemu heaven and the Baibei royal city have been fighting for so long. What's the result? The main battlefield is in the Shuemu heaven. If you really dared to fight, you would have been here a long time ago. As for nagging and nagging for tens of thousands of years? I don't like your temper. Prawn Yu Wei, Umbrella 7, and the others all changed their expressions. This time, Zhang Xiaotian had already transcended the tribulation, so he didn't come. But how could they dare to provoke Han Fei when he was so arrogant? Although Suyi rose to the top because of the death of the Green Silk Spirit and the Fish Dragon King, how could he have entered the top 10 of the heavenly talent list without strength? However, in Han Fei's hands, Suyi was like a small fish and a shrimp, who could be crushed to death easily. Prawn Yu Wei and the others thought they were extraordinary, but Han Fei was too domineering just now. Someone shouted, Serenity. Was an Explorer-level junior in charge of the Shuemu sky now? Or does your Shuemu Tian really think that you can start an all-out war with my White Shell Royal City? Peaceful chuckled. Fight with everything you have? Do you dare? Han Fei curled his lips and pointed at the half-mermaid venerable who spoke. The one who spoke, please use your brain next time. Do you think the Blood Sea Divine Wood City is just a decoration? An all-out war? Why don't you try? Since the main battlefield is in my Shuemu heaven, isn't the White Armor Emperor afraid that someone will steal his nest if he goes out and tries? Although the White Shell Royal City was hidden, just like how the Life Queen didn't dare to step out of the Waterwood sky, the White Armor Emperor didn't dare to leave the White Shell Royal City either. Besides, there were checks and balances among the 3 parties. Han Fei didn't believe that they would really fight to the death. Since that was the case, what was wrong with being a little more forceful? This time, it seemed that the powerhouses on the White Shell Royal City's prodigy roll were preparing to undergo the heavenly tribulation. If he did not make a move, Chong Lulu and the others would definitely die. Since he had already made his move, why not be a little more forceful? These reasons couldn't be explained to others. When he had time to meet the Life Queen, she would naturally understand. Peaceful chuckled. Recently, the White Shell Royal City has been in a lot of chaos. Just stay put and don't think that you're invincible. Hum! The void trembled, and clouds and mist surrounded and condensed. A big face of clouds and mist covered half the sky. Peaceful's expression changed slightly. Humph, if you have what it takes, come with your real body. That big face was none other than the only king of the White Shell Royal City, the White Armor Emperor. The old turtle said, "It's just a projection of a king. It's not even a clone." However, this was the first time that Han Fei had seen such a method with his own eyes. Wasn't this 2F** king big of a commotion? A face that covered half the sky? The clouds and mist loosened and a voice said, "There's someone in the Shuemu heaven. Are you challenging me?" The voice was directed at Han Fei. The Life Queen didn't respond. She was probably watching the show. For her, she was very happy. Besides, in just 3 years, Han Fei had made a lot of noise. His style of doing things was completely different from the Shuemu heaven. However, Han Fei's style of doing things wasn't bad. Although the king's gaze wasn't his real face, it was still quite intimidating. However, Han Fei raised his head and sneered. What a great honor it is for me to call a king over to take a look at it. Boy, you're just an explorer. How can you challenge a king? Just wait a moment. We'll meet in the future. Hiss! Wushang Shui and the others walked out of the void. As soon as they came out, they heard Han Fei say "us" to the king. At that time, they were all shocked. You've just come back and you're already arrogant? The Life Queen was sitting in the Divine Palace, watching this scene and shaking her head slightly. The reason why Han Fei dared to call out was that the White Shell Royal City really couldn't spare the time at this time. The Wall of Death was sick, the Venerables were injured, and the king was injured. Han Fei was involved and knew the truth, so he naturally dared to call out. However, if others didn't know this, they would only think that Han Fei was too arrogant. However, the Life Queen was a little surprised. The White Shell Royal City's current situation wasn't very bad. This kind of influence would disappear in a few decades at most. How do you know that they won't retaliate in a few decades? Unless, the Life Queen narrowed her eyes slightly. Unless Han Fei had something to rely on? For example, did her teacher leave any tricks for him? Han Fei didn't know what the Life Queen was thinking, but he was already used to this kind of bragging. Let's not talk about whether or not it's true. At least, you don't dare to take action now. Besides, Han Fei believed that this return to the Yin-Yang heaven would definitely be a fierce battle. Big events came one after another. The battle on the Scattered Stars Island was one thing, and entering the Divine Palace was another. If he didn't dare to fight, how could he become a king? Since everyone thought that he would become a king, he had to think that he would become a king too. So, why not try to be a king? Anyway, he would have to cross the infinite ocean in the future. As for this behavior, would it cause the two sides to fight endlessly? Would it make the Life Queen unhappy? Han Fei didn't consider it at all. Old Han promised the Life Queen that he would help her destroy the royal city. The Life Queen believed him, so she wouldn't restrict him. In fact, the Life Queen had no choice. The White Shell Royal City was eyeing the Blood Sea Divine Wood City covetously. Once Patriarch Blood Demon thought it through and cooperated with the White Shell Royal City, the Shuemu heaven would be in danger. At this moment, he could only rely on himself. He even hoped that he could take charge of the Yin-Yang heaven and grow quickly. Looking at Han Fei's arrogant posture, the White Armor Emperor's eyes were deep. Han Fei, you are the first explorer to make me remember your name. You want to fight me? Then I'll wait for you. The clouds swayed, the big face disappeared, and a voice floated in the sky. It won't be a day or two if the Shuemu heaven wants to change the current situation. Since a junior dares to challenge me today, that's fine. It's been a long time since the Battle of the Three Cities. I'm waiting for another millennium. The powerhouses on the White Shell Royal City's side all snorted coldly and shouted, "Let's go!" This time, the other side actually backed down because of Han Fei's attack? Han Fei himself was a little dumbfounded. Seriously? It's just a few people's tribulation. Is it necessary to be so exaggerated? The Battle of the Three Cities? What the hell is that? Han Fei looked at Peaceful, dumbfounded. Peaceful glanced at him and said telepathically, "The Battle of the Three Cities is an eternal war that happens every 1,000 years. In order to prove their strength, a large-scale war will break out from top to bottom. The White Shell Royal City was merely taking advantage of today's matter to call a truce in advance, finding an excuse to recuperate and find a way out of this embarrassing situation. After all, you should know that the White Shell Royal City is indeed not in a good state right now." Han Fei's heart suddenly did a flip. "So, did that king compromise in front of me?" "Humph," Peaceful said disdainfully. "He thinks you're shameless? Of course, he didn't fight for the moment because of the queen." Han Fei curled his lip. "Anyway, he backed down." Peaceful. The old turtle reminded him, "Don't think about a king in such a way. Anyone who can become a king can't be too bad. Most of the time, it's just a wait-and-see approach to the current situation. If this king dares to fight in the Battle of the Three Cities, it at least means that he's capable of returning the White Shell Royal City to its peak before the battle. He even found an excuse to withdraw the combat power of the Venerable Realm. Do you think he backed down?" Hearing the old turtle's words, Han Fei's heart sank and he couldn't help but look at Peaceful. "Then when is the Battle of the Three Cities?" Peaceful said, "There are still 100 years before the 1,000-year deadline, but we can't count it in 100 years. This means that it may break out at any time. However, don't worry too much. It won't break out in at least 10 years. 10 years should only be enough for him to recover. Last time, he was hurt by the queen. By the way, why did you come back early?" Peaceful looked around and said casually, "Let's leave it at that. Don't worry about the White Shell Royal City. Han Fei, come with me. Her Majesty summoned you." All of a sudden, everyone looked at Han Fei. Was he summoned again? Thinking of Han Fei's domineering behavior today, everyone wondered if Han Fei had been accepted by the queen and was going to become a real king's servant. For a moment, all kinds of envious and hateful eyes gave Han Fei goosebumps. Chapter 1364. This was the second time Han Fei had come to the Waterwood Fairy Palace. Along the way, Ning Jing said, "You're quite something. I heard that you went to White Sand Royal City, and even overturned a pagoda and released many Exalt Realm Greater Demons. 5 of them are under the protection of our Waterwood Heaven. Now they're on our side. We have 5 more venerables." Han Fei's lips twitched. "How do you know?" Peaceful snorted. "I know a lot. I'm a venerable after all. Do you think you can hide these things from me?" Han Fei didn't want to meet the Life Queen anymore. When they met, it was a problem to address each other. If he called Her Majesty, it would be too embarrassing. Besides, the Life Queen definitely wanted him to keep the water fairy here, but that was impossible. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Why did the Queen call me?" Peaceful pouted. "How would I know? Han Fei, didn't you say you were going to make me a Manchu Han Imperial feast? What's that? Is it delicious? What's a Manchu Han Imperial feast? What's a feast? Is it better than hot pot?" Peaceful kept blabbering, and Han Fei echoed, "Oh, 8 dishes." Peaceful was shocked. "What about 8 dishes? So many?" Han Fei thought to himself, "She has 108 dishes in total. Isn't it a bit unfair for me to do this? After all, Peaceful had helped me a lot." Han Fei couldn't help but say, "Fine, I'll add 1 more, making a total of 9. I'll make them for you when I'm free." Peaceful's eyes lit up. "Don't be free. Why don't we do it today?" Han Fei couldn't help but say, "No. I have to swallow an alien flame first and bring Little Gold and the others back." "I'll get them back now," Peaceful said. Han Fei hurriedly stopped her. "Don't. I have to see what they've been through." Peaceful wanted to say something, but she hesitated and thought to herself, "Forget it. I'd better let Han Fei see for himself." In the Waterwood Fairy Palace, the venerable bat stood at the entrance like a statue. Seeing Peaceful and Han Fei coming, he just nodded slightly. But unlike last time, this time, the venerable bat's eyes lingered on Han Fei for a while longer, probably knowing something about Han Fei. Whoosh! After entering the teleportation array, Han Fei shivered and felt that the spiritual energy was much denser than before, but he still felt that his heart was soaring and cold. It was the same path as before, with all kinds of flowers and spirit fruits blossoming on the sides. Peaceful smiled slyly. She stepped on the ground and the space changed. Han Fei keenly noticed that peaceful serenity was stretching the space. Whoosh! Han Fei crossed 1,000 meters with each step. However, when he raised his head, he realized that the space around him had changed again. Each step he took was less than 30 feet away, but Peaceful appeared 1,000 feet away. Han Fei took another step quietly. Just when Peaceful regained control of the distance, Han Fei suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was next to Peaceful. Peaceful was shocked. Huh? You cheated. This isn't the proximity technique. Han Fei curled his lips. Indeed not. This is called the star transposition technique. Serenity snorted and thought to herself, this kid has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. However, his reaction speed was not slow at all. Forget it, I won't make things difficult for him. It was still that big tree, which should be the Cloud Sea Divine Branch. Peaceful said, you can go up now. Han Fei didn't stand on ceremony this time, and walked into the yard. The Life Queen was sprinkling some green insects. She glanced at him casually and said lightly, you're going back? Han Fei nodded. Yes. If I stay here any longer, it will seem like I'm slacking off. The Life Queen raised her head. When you go back this time, you will eventually become a venerable. It's not difficult to disassemble spiritual energy. But will anyone let you become a venerable so easily? Han Fei smiled and said, it shouldn't be a problem for me to become a half-venerable. I can't stay here forever. The Life Queen nodded. Bai Suzhen, stay. Han Fei's expression didn't change. When Peaceful asked him to come up, he already had a hunch. However, this was also good. Bai Suzhen was just a reincarnation, so it didn't matter whether she stayed or not. However, Han Fei said, of course, there's nothing good about going back to the Yin-Yang heaven with me. Bai Suzhen stays, but his father has become a venerable. The Life Queen couldn't help but roll her eyes at Han Fei. If I give you people, do you dare to use them? Han Fei grinned. What's there to be afraid of? I'm pure by nature. My teacher must have told me that. In a place where Han Fei couldn't see, the Life Queen pinched her fingers and thought to herself, you're pure by nature? Do you think I'll believe you? The pure one is Wang Han. You? Who are you? The Life Queen said lightly, Jing-er. Swish. Jing-er quietly appeared. The Life Queen said, you go back to the Yin-Yang heaven with Han Fei. But don't take action rashly. Han Fei has to walk his own path. You just need to take action occasionally when necessary. Jing-er was dumbfounded when she heard this. She immediately stammered, Your Majesty, I go? Can I? The Life Queen snorted softly. Okay. If I tell you to go, you can go. However, you are only allowed to take action 3 times. The Life Queen looked at Han Fei. The king's path rarely relies on external forces. I hope you won't let Jing-er take action even once. Han Fei's heart moved slightly, and his expression was slightly solemn. I won't let her take action unless it's necessary. At the beginning, the Life Queen had said that she wouldn't let anyone help the Yin-Yang heaven. But what level was Jing-er at? Although she was a little ignorant of worldly affairs, her strength was probably one of the few in the entire Shuemu heaven. What was the difference between such an expert and a king in the Yin-Yang heaven? The Life Queen had already done this. Han Fei immediately stomped his feet, and the illusion of mountains and rivers appeared. Bai Suzhen looked around blankly. When she saw the Life Queen for the first time, she was dumbfounded. A king shouldn't be looked at directly. Han Fei could see it because the Life Queen let him see it. The Life Queen nodded slightly, and Bai Suzhen took a breath and came back to her senses. An expert. Bai Suzhen naturally knew Han Fei. With her intelligence, she roughly understood what was going on. However, she didn't know the person in front of her. She only felt that the other party was very, very strong. The Life Queen said, "Let Zhang Yao and her mother come out together." Han Fei's heart moved again, and Zhang Yao and the snake demon appeared. The snake demon's body trembled. She couldn't see the Life Queen's face at all. Zhang Yao suddenly knelt down and said in an agitated voice, "Sinner Zhang Yao greets your majesty. I didn't expect that I would see your majesty again one day." Jing Er said in surprise, "Huh? Is this the guy from the human race who disappeared?" Zhang Yao looked sideways and hurriedly said, "Greetings, Emissary Jing." Seeing her husband like this, the snake demon was shocked. Was she facing a king? Immediately, the snake demon also knelt and bowed. Only Bai Suzhen frowned slightly. And Bai Suzhen's behavior made Jing Er unhappy. Jing Er shouted, "How can you not bow when you see your majesty?" Bai Suzhen gritted her teeth. She didn't want to kneel. While she was struggling, the Life Queen waved her hand slightly and said, "Do you remember the demonic plant conference on the Jade Pen Peak?" Bai Suzhen was shocked. "You are the one in the straw hut?" Jing Er looked at Han Fei with a dumbfounded expression, as if asking what was going on. Han Fei shrugged slightly. "I don't know. At that time, I was busy and didn't have time to care about what happened in the sea-quelling painting." The Life Queen smiled softly. "You and I are fated. You are quite talented. Are you willing to be my disciple?" Zhang Yao suddenly raised his head. Suzhen, come on. Your Majesty, that's a real king. His strength is unfathomable." Bai Suzhen glanced at Han Fei. Seeing Han Fei smiling faintly, she nodded slightly. "Greetings, Master." Han Fei really didn't care about this. The reincarnation was not the real body, so it couldn't be regarded as the water fairy. In the future, when Bai Suzhen became the water fairy, the Life Queen would have to call her the water fairy instead. However, it didn't matter, as long as Bai Suzhen and the water fairy weren't the same person. The Life Queen said lightly, "Very good. In this way, Zhang Yao will become a venerable and go to the human race to form his own tribe. Green Snake is an ordinary sea demon and belongs to the human race. No one is allowed to criticize him." Zhang Yao and Green Snake said, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhang Yao looked at Han Fei. "Thank you too, Brother Han." Zhang Yao wasn't stupid. How could a person who could stand here and face the Life Queen so casually be immortal? Han Fei smiled. "It's just an opportunity. Don't worry about it, Senior." It seemed that the Life Queen had nothing to say to him. No matter what, he still owed the Life Queen a lot of things. He probably wouldn't be able to pay her back even if he emptied his fortune. So, he'd better run away quickly. Han Fei said, Well, Jing Er, are you hungry?" Jing Er was stunned and nodded quickly. Yes, I'm hungry." The Life Queen raised her eyes slightly and seemed to roll her eyes at the two of them. "Okay, you two can go. Jing Er, take Han Fei to the Sea of Flames to get a wisp of essence fire. The rest of you can go do whatever you need to do." "Yes, Your Majesty." Han Fei grinned. "Okay, then I'm leaving." Zhang Yao couldn't help but wonder what Han Fei's identity was. In front of the Queen, even Messenger Jing was very respectful. Why did Han Fei look so casual? Why didn't the Queen disobey him? However, it was none of his business. Bai Suzhen was accepted as a disciple by the Life Queen. Maybe she could reach the top of the King realm in the future. Outside the waterwood sky, Jing Er asked, "Han Fei, shall we go eat first?" Han Fei thought for a moment. Anyway, there was still half a year before the 3-year deadline. Besides, he hadn't eaten for a long time. During the last tribulation, the demon purification pot was emptied, and there wasn't even any seasoning left. Han Fei immediately said, Jing do you still have the seasonings I gave you before? Jing swallowed her saliva. Yes. I have several sun moon shells. The corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched. But then he said, let's go eat, let's go. Chapter 1365. In Wushang Shui's small courtyard, there were only 3 guests: Peaceful, Wushang Shui, and Iyuchen. Wushang Shui was quite annoyed by Peaceful's naive foodie character. However, thinking of the food Han Fei made, he felt it would be a pity not to eat it, so he just accompanied her. Peaceful sat in front of the barbecue grill, took out 9 kinds of earthy-flavored seafood, and said bitterly, Han Fei, is the Manchu Han Imperial Feast you mentioned the 9 dishes I roasted? Han Fei grinned. Yours is just 1 dish. Han Fei stretched out his hand, and a long iron plate appeared in front of him. Han Fei flicked his finger on the iron plate. Purple crayfish, white-scaled sea snake, half-finger silver fish, silver shark. Han Fei took out 9 at once, but this time, different from before, they were basically small creatures with low levels. There was only a fire yuan flood dragon that was no more than 5 meters long. Peaceful was surprised. Why is its level so low? Iyuchen nodded. I like fried squid. Wushang Shui glanced at Iyuchen, who shrugged slightly, thinking, Venerable likes to eat too. Han Fei took out 7 or 8 pots and bowls in one breath and murmured, Thank you for your help during the tribulation. I haven't made any top food for you before. Today I'm sorry. Peaceful was taken aback. Hot pot and barbecue are not top food? Han Fei boiled oil in the pot, sprinkled pepper and sesame oil, and the fragrance of garlic filled the air. After a few turns, the fragrance filled the courtyard. Everyone, including Wushang Shui, was stunned by this scene. Can these palm-sized crayfish emit such an exotic fragrance? In another pot, green and white peppers were twisted in a Tai Chi pattern. A fish head was flying on it, and the spiritual fire was like a flower. The fish beads were shining, which looked very beautiful. Peaceful asked, What dish is this? Han Fei smiled and said, Braised fish head with double peppers. You can also call it steamed fish head with chopped peppers. Iyuchen couldn't help but point to the other side. What about here? Is this little white shrimp swimming in a wine jar also a dish? Han Fei smiled. This is the ultimate technique, drunken little white shrimp. In Han Fei's hands, there were all kinds of fancy food in his hands. Although Peaceful and the others were all venerables, they couldn't help but sigh. In terms of cooking skills, Han Fei was definitely at the king level. Han Fei said the dishes one by one. The 9 dishes this time can be considered a feast. The braised Great Plate Dragon was in the form of a white-scaled sea snake coiling around the sky. It was as if it had risen from the plate and was filled with murderous intent. Complemented with the red sauce, the taste can be said to be superb. Spicy crayfish, also known as spicy crayfish for short, is fragrant and spicy. It is one of the best delicacies in the world. Drunken little white prawn, the treasure of the table. I second the vinegar essence. It needs to be wrapped in spiritual energy for 49 days in order to remove the astringency. Steamed fish head with chili peppers. The dish is bright red in color, rich in flavor, and tender in meat. It's fatty but not greasy, soft and delicious. The fresh-tasting whitebait soup can remove the grease and oil. It's fresh and delicious, as if you're holding half of an underwater forest in your mouth. Yellow croaker spicy pot. Steamed shark's fin in sour broth. Shrimp hot pot. Barbecue dragon. Han Fei was talking so excitedly that Peaceful and the others were dumbfounded. In the divine palace, the Life Queen's mouth twitched. She sighed that she still needed to maintain the appearance of a king. Otherwise, she would definitely slap Han Fei to death. The 9 dishes were presented one by one. The oil on the dishes was dazzling, and the hot steam, accompanied by the fragrance, rushed into everyone's nostrils, making them drool. Han Fei smiled proudly and said, Please have a taste. Wow. Peaceful had already lunged forward, scooped up a spoonful of whitebait soup, and stuffed it into her mouth. That pair of eyes was really glowing. When she swallowed a mouthful of steamed fish head with chili peppers, she immediately let out an exclamation. Yu Chen was tempted. Is it really so delicious? Smelling it, he was indeed drooling. He immediately peeled a spicy crayfish and stuffed it into his mouth, only to feel refreshed. This gave him a vague illusion that his strength seemed to have increased. Only Wushang Shui was relatively steady. He picked up a piece of steamed wing in sour soup and ate it. His eyelids shivered. Wushang Shui seemed calm, but in fact, his fingers in his sleeves had pinched his thigh several times, warning himself not to be greedy. As for Han Fei, he liked to cook, but he didn't necessarily like to eat. After all, chefs liked to watch others eat to their heart's content. However, he liked to boast with Lu Renquang and the others for 2 hours with a pot of hot pot and a jar of wine. On this side, peaceful Wushang Shui and Yu Chen had just tasted the food, when they saw that all the dishes on the table were gone. Peaceful wanted to pick up more meat, but it was gone. In the next moment, the Life Queen's leisurely voice was heard. If you want to enjoy yourself, wait until the great battle. Peaceful, take Han Fei to get the flame essence, and ask Qian Shu to exchange it for Wuya. Let Han Fei leave quickly. At that moment, Peaceful pouted. I only ate 3 bites. I haven't tried them yet. Why are they gone? Wushang Shui let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, Her Majesty took action in time. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stop eating today. Yu Chen felt it was a pity. The taste was indeed extraordinary. However, considering that the battle was not over yet and a storm was coming, he immediately began to think about how to cultivate with a straight face. Only Han Fei didn't panic at all and gave Peaceful a reassuring look. Peaceful understood. He ate by himself but didn't take the queen with him. The queen must be unhappy. When he went to the Yin-Yang sky, there would definitely be delicious food everywhere. He would definitely eat until his mouth went soft. Thinking of this, Peaceful hurriedly said, Yes, Your Majesty. Then I'll take Han Fei away quickly. Yu Chen knew that the next time he saw Han Fei would be when he left, so he couldn't help but cup his hands. I hope to see you again in the future. Han Fei thought to himself, You may not be able to beat me now. But Han Fei said, That's for sure. At that time, I'll definitely fight you for 3,000 rounds. Yu Chen was speechless. 3,000? You're not serious at all. Wushang Shui looked at Han Fei and said seriously, Humans are rare. Since you said that the Yin-Yang heaven is in danger, we can't delay. After we return, we have to protect the human race. Han Fei cupped his hands. Of course. Han Fei thought to himself, I'm afraid I can't protect the human race with my abilities. However, I can try to reorganize the Yin-Yang heaven and fight the 10,000 Demon Valley. Han Fei's so-called invitation was driven away after he showed off some fancy cooking skills. Little did he know that in the Immortal Palace, on a long table carved from a tree, there were 9 dishes, all of them on it. The Life Queen picked up her chopsticks and tasted them unhurriedly. She murmured to no one knew who she was talking to, I don't believe in you, Han Fei, nor your father Han Guanshu, nor the so-called friendship between masters. I believe in the 9th Yin-Yang. Yin-Yang, colored glass, golden crow, dragon subduing. My power of water and wood has been exhausted. Let's see if the Yin-Yang heaven can rise again. Sea of Flames. Han Fei sat cross-legged on a branch of the fire tree that was 800 kilometers high. There was a black area around him that was almost invisible to the naked eye. The pure Yang fire essence was extremely domineering. When Han Fei and Little Black arrived at the top of the fire tree together, they felt that there was a scorching sun in the clear sky, and the pure Yang fire essence gathered on the top. Han Fei couldn't help but think that he had forgotten one thing all this time. Although Little White had swallowed the blue sea ice sand, which was a natural spiritual treasure, it was still a pure Yang fire essence. Wasn't the scorching sun fire essence also a pure Yang fire essence? If he practiced the void fishing art during the day and triggered the pure yang fire essence to descend, would it be as powerful as the strange fire? With this in mind, Han Fei immediately sat cross-legged and activated the void fishing art. In an instant, the scorching sun gathered between heaven and earth, and then it turned into a beam of pure yang fire essence. With such a move, the weather changed. The venerables of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree all cast surprised eyes. What's going on? Is there something wrong with the fire tree? When they looked at him, they saw that Han Fei was sitting in the middle of the pure yang fire essence, and in front of him, an unknown dark shadow was devouring the pure yang fire essence. The old turtle couldn't help but ask, "Boy, why haven't you used this technique before? What technique is this?" Han Fei nodded. "I have. I just haven't used it in the daytime." The old turtle was puzzled. "That's not right. Although cultivating in the daytime will cause the pure yang fire essence to invade your body, this is too aggressive. With this technique, why do you still need to find the pure yang fire essence? You can just devour it." Han Fei asked in surprise, "Is this useful to Little Black?" The old turtle immediately said, "Of course. The blue sea smoothie is indeed powerful. However, quantitative change can lead to qualitative change. Although the pure yang fire essence is not as pure as the blue sea smoothie, it is inexhaustible. Besides, ordinary people will be burned to death in 3 seconds under this level. With such strong pure yang fire essence, at your current speed, I'm afraid it will only take you a month to accumulate enough pure yang fire essence to feed this little black fish." At this time, the Life Queen stepped on the fire tree and thought to herself, "It's just a simple matter of taking the pure yang fire essence. Why did you make such a big fuss?" When she came, she saw that the fire tree next to Han Fei had sprouted a few buds. "Huh! The fire tree can recover?" The Life Queen's voice echoed in Han Fei's ears. "How long can this technique last?" Han Fei was tempted. "I'm afraid it can only last about a month at most." The Life Queen's eyes immediately lit up. "Okay, then a month. There is a variant spirit in this tree. If you can wake it up, except for what your father owes me, everything else you owe me will be written off." Han Fei's heart shook. What old Han owed was for helping the Life Queen kill King City. Of course, it couldn't be written off. However, he owed the Life Queen a lot too. According to the Life Queen's calculations, he owed 180 Dao-seeking state cultivators. Even the venerable state cultivators owed him a lot. Han Fei pondered. "What if I don't wake it up?" The Life Queen nodded. "Half." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. It's a deal." Han Fei didn't just want to pay off his debt. He was going to devour the pure yang fire essence to balance the power between Little Black and Little White. If doing so could conveniently offset some of the debts he owed, why wouldn't he do it? It was not easy to pay off debts owed to a king. Although he was a habitual robber, the people he robbed were all enemies. He wouldn't owe the people on his side anything. The commotion of the Sea of Flames naturally spread to the two-king city. The Life Queen didn't hide it. From the outside, it seemed that Han Fei was just cultivating. The only thing that the two kings were afraid of was Han Fei himself, not the fire tree. After all, the fire tree had existed for tens of thousands of years and had never made any movement. And Han Fei had only appeared for 3 years. He was so talented that he couldn't be allowed to live. Chapter 1366. While others were worried about Han Fei, the Life Queen wasn't worried at all. After all, in a few months, Han Fei wouldn't appear again for a long time. Even if the other two kings wanted to kill Han Fei, they wouldn't be able to. Since she took charge of the Waterwood Heaven, she had given birth to countless springs of life. The only thing she couldn't do was this fire tree. No matter how she watered it, she couldn't wake it up. But now, Han Fei could make the fire tree grow new leaves just by activating a cultivation technique? This was simply a miracle. Originally, the Life Queen didn't intend to show up. However, since the fire tree moved, she naturally came too. As for the flame essence, It didn't matter anymore. If she had known that Han Fei had this ability, the water deity would have brought him back after the battle on the island. Under the fire tree, 30,000 kilometers inside and outside were guarded by 12 insect queens. No one knew who spread the news about the humanoid king's inheritance. Because Han Fei was sitting cross-legged on the top of the fire tree, the entire Waterwood Heaven knew about it. So at this moment, even the people of the Waterwood Heaven were secretly discussing that Han Fei had probably obtained the humanoid king's inheritance. The Life Queen didn't say a word and pushed all her thoughts to Han Fei. So, in the Baibei royal city, the White Armor Emperor's order was spread everywhere. In the future, no matter who in the Waterwood Heaven wants to become a venerable, you must inform me. The humanoid king. Humph, if you can't become a venerable, how can you be a king? In the Blood Sea Divine Wood City, a young man in red was lying on a branch, with a cold smile on his face. You want to have two kings coexisting? Mu-Wuhua, you are digging your own grave. Half a month later, Han Fei was cultivating, and the new leaves around him grew one after another. Within 100 kilometers of Han Fei, the new leaves almost replaced the old leaves on the fire tree. Even Han Fei himself felt that something was wrong. Was this tree reviving? The old turtle said, "Oh, I sensed the aura of a special creature." Han Fei wondered, what special creature? The old turtle paused and said, "A spiritual seed. It seems to be a special spiritual seed bred by heaven and earth." Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Is it possible that a person can jump out of this tree? Old turtle, I can't say for sure. While Han Fei and the old turtle were talking, Han Fei suddenly discovered that more than half of the pure yang fire energy he attracted was led into the tree. Little Black also said, "Daddy, someone is trying to steal the energy." Han Fei frowned. "Son, don't panic. Let's wait for another half a month." Little Black was annoyed that its energy had been stolen for no reason. Originally, although there was energy overflowing in the first half of the month, most of it was devoured by it. In another 10 days or so, he would be full. In the end, someone suddenly appeared to steal his energy? Han Fei didn't stop cultivating. While cultivating, his divine soul probed every nook and cranny of the cinder tree again and again. However, he did not find the heaven and earth spiritual seed that the old tortoise had mentioned. Another 7 days passed. Almost all the essence energy that Han Fei gathered was swallowed by the fire tree. Therefore, almost all the leaves on the fire tree had been replaced. Today, when the last old leaf withered, Han Fei suddenly felt as if he was in a sea of fire. In the sea of fire, there seemed to be nothingness on all sides and a seal. This place was like the legendary 8 trigrams alchemy furnace of the Grand Supreme Elder. And in this place there was a big seed of fire floating. This seed was trembling slightly and saying in a childish voice, "Thank you." Han Fei was dumbfounded. "Are you talking to me?" "No, are you a seed?" The seed hummed. "Of course I am. The fire essence has been reborn, and I have inherited the wisdom of the ancestors. You can call me Golden Crow." Han Fei. At that moment Han Fei felt terrible. The shadow in his heart was so huge that his brain seemed to have been hit by lightning. This seed said it was a golden crow? Also, it was a golden crow. Not surprisingly, he had seen the second King mythical creature. One was an azure dragon, and the other was a golden crow. Although one was a dragon soul and the other was a seed, they were still King mythical creatures. If he really had to go on, he seemed to have seen Kirin's and Mermaid. He felt that the world was becoming more and more hostile towards him. Han Fei didn't think so before, but now even the King Golden Crow had come out. The seed said, "Thank you for waking me up with a tremendous amount of fire essence. If it weren't for the sudden drop of fire essence, I'm afraid that after 10,000 years, my seed would have collapsed and I would have perished forever." At this time, Han Fei suddenly realized that in the myths and legends of his previous life, the three-legged golden crow was the sun. At this moment, he had been guiding the spiritual energy of the sun for several months, and the three-legged golden crow had been resurrected? Thinking of this, Han Fei immediately said, it's nothing. It's not worth mentioning. But, well, are you really a golden crow? Do you have 3 feet? The golden crow was surprised. 2. Isn't it strange that I have 3 feet? Besides, I am now a seed, and I can also grow into a human shape. Phew! Han Fei immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Damn it! It seemed that he had mistaken it for a 3-legged golden crow. He had thought that he had encountered a 3-legged golden crow. At first, I thought this fire tree was the residence of a phoenix, but instead of a phoenix, a golden crow came. Wasn't it a pleasant surprise? The golden crow said, "Please help me for another 9 days. After 9 days, the fire tree will bloom, and I will be born." Han Fei thought for a moment. Is this the guy that the Life Queen was talking about? At this moment, he somehow felt that he had suffered a loss. I seem to have woken up a King powerful being. In the next few days, Han Fei and the golden crow began to chat. One was guiding fire, and the other was swallowing fire. The two of them cooperated well. Little Black was left with a belly full of resentment. He felt that Daddy seemed to have forgotten him. At this moment, in this strange space, Han Fei asked, "How did you get trapped in this fire tree?" The golden crow replied, "My ancestors must have died in battle and accidentally fell here. So, they took root and sprouted here." Han Fei asked, "Hey no. Are you a tree or a bird?" The golden crow asked, "How do you know I am a bird? I am clearly a seed now." Han Fei curled his lips. "You are called golden crow, so you should be a bird." The golden crow asked, "What's the reason? I thought you were a man left behind by the golden crow heaven." Han Fei's blood froze. "Wait a minute. What heaven?" The golden crow replied, "The golden crow heaven." Han Fei asked, "Are you talking about the 36 black heavens?" The golden crow said, "In my inherited memory, it seems so. Which side are you on?" Han Fei thought, even a seed has such a powerful background. I can't be weak. Han Fei immediately said, "I am Han Fei, the immortal master of the Yin-Yang heaven. Since you are from the golden crow heaven, you owe me a big favor." The golden crow replied, "Of course. However, shouldn't the immortal master be a king? You don't seem to be one." Han Fei sneered. "That's still better than you are now. You are just a seed now." The golden crow was a little stunned. "That's true. But where are we now?" Han Fei said, "In the Waterwood heaven." The golden crow asked, "Where is the Waterwood heaven?" Han Fei was speechless. "Wait. You call yourself the golden crow heaven. Don't you know the Waterwood heaven? Then do you know the Yin-Yang heaven?" The golden crow said, "In my inheritance, I only know the 36 black heavens. I haven't been able to sense so much information." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Troublesome. I thought you were a big shot. It seems that you are also a newbie." The golden crow said, "When I am born, I will absorb the essence of the sun for 3 years, and I will remember it." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Are you Neza? Absorb the essence of the sun for 3 years? Your bark is almost bald." The golden crow wondered, "Who is Neza? Which heaven is he from?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. None of the heavens. Han Fei and the golden crow had been chatting for several days and were already familiar with each other. Finally, on the 9th day, the flames under Han Fei soared into the sky, and a 6-leaf petal bloomed under his butt. This petal was not big and could only wrap a person. Because this petal was too small and looked like a leaf, it didn't attract anyone's attention. And those who should have noticed it had already noticed it. As for Little Black, it should be 80% full. At this moment, Han Fei took it back. After all, he could attract the sun anywhere. When the petal bloomed, the Life Queen appeared and stood next to Han Fei. In the petal, a 4 or 5-year-old golden bird was looking at Han Fei and the Life Queen innocently with its head raised. A string of information popped up in Han Fei's eyes. Name: Golden Crow. Introduction: a primeval mutant with the bloodline of a divine beast. Its specifics are unknown. It is born with the ability to control fire and can control all the strange fires in the world. Every time it passes a level, it will undergo nirvana. But when it becomes a king, it will receive 9 death. Level 31 Quality: Primeval Ferocious Beast, Spiritual Energy greater than 4,936 points. Effect: Collectible? Unabsorbable. Remarks: Not awakened. Seeing this information, Han Fei's lips twitched. Primeval Ferocious Beast, Divine Beast Bloodline? Damn it, is its identity so awesome? It's just a little baby bird. The Life Queen said, "You're finally awake." The baby bird said in a childish voice, "I recognize your aura. You often come to see me." The Life Queen was slightly relieved. "At least you have a conscience. I extended your lifespan for tens of thousands of years with the spring of life. If you can't recognize me, you will have no conscience." Han Fei looked at the Life Queen in surprise. "Is that true?" The Life Queen looked at Han Fei. "Okay, what you owe me is written off. Aren't you going back to the Yin-Yang heaven? Go." The baby bird asked, "Han Fei, are you leaving?" Han Fei thought to himself, "The Life Queen has extended your lifespan for tens of thousands of years. Even if I steal it, I can't get it. Forget it." Han Fei shrugged. "Of course. I have to return to the Yin-Yang heaven. I'm going to fight." The baby bird flapped its wings. "When I become a human, I will help you." Han Fei said in disdain, "You help me? Ha, forget it, I can do it myself." Damn. Fire elements gathered on the baby bird's body, and it actually leveled up. Han Fei was dumbfounded. "Damn, isn't this upgrade too fast? Are you kidding me?" Han Fei laughed. "Okay, then I will wait for the day you become a king." First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 1367. The appearance of the Golden Crow only made Han Fei feel the mystery of this world. Perhaps there were still many things that he didn't understand. Perhaps, as the old tortoise had said, his knowledge was still shallow. Or perhaps, even the Golden Crow didn't know whether it had 3 feet or not. Unexpectedly, the Golden Crow appeared in the form of a seed. It bloomed and grew out of the tree? He had never heard of such a way of birth. The water fairy also became a seed. Why did all these creatures become seeds in the end? Han Fei didn't know much about this. He asked the old turtle, but the old turtle said that he had never contacted a creature like the Golden Crow. Although he had a lot of knowledge about the Emperor, it was limited. Han Fei felt that the old turtle must have fooled him somehow. For example, the old turtle's strength was actually not as strong as the Emperor, but he bragged in front of him every day. The whole sea. Peaceful claimed that Little Gold and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp were both here. Han Fei thought to himself, "Why is Little Gold with the insects too?" When he arrived at the whole sea, Han Fei realized that it was a pity that he didn't go deep to have a look. In this area, the south side of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, from 3,000 kilometers above the water surface all the way to the bottom of the water surface, and then 30,000 kilometers outwards, were all areas where insects lived. In this area of 30,000 kilometers, there were dozens of uplifted caves. Deep into the caves, Han Fei didn't know how many turns he had taken, and along the way, there were all kinds of larvae that broke out of the cocoons. When Han Fei first arrived here, he perceived that thousands of insects were crawling out of the eggs. These insects were more than half a meter long. After breaking out of the eggs, they would quickly swim to a larger area 30,000 kilometers away. When they were just born, their strength was different. From the awakened to the sea spirit, their levels were different. In order to make it easier to control them, they were generally divided according to the species and realms of the insects. In each species, the high-level insects would act as the commander and reorganize the newly born insect. Don't look at how stupid these insects were. Even if they were heaven's chosen ones, they were still very disciplined and purposeful. They knew what they were pursuing and what life and death were. Seeing Han Fei's shocked expression, Peaceful could not help but say, "The Zerg is a very strong race. If it wasn't for the bug race guarding it, Shuemu Heaven would have collapsed long ago." Han Fei nodded in confusion. "I can see that. They're even more fertile than sea demons. If it weren't for the fact that the insectoid's territory is rather narrow, I'm afraid that even the marine species wouldn't be their match." Peaceful did not deny it. She said, "Because the bug's reproductive ability is too strong, the queen cannot become a king." Thus, the Bug King came into being and was regarded by the entire bug race as the great venerable who had the highest chance of becoming a king. However, the Bug King is still stuck at the half-king stage, unable to comprehend the final path and become a king. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Is the last step of becoming a king based on enlightenment?" Ningjing said, "Do you think it's that easy to become a king? In every race, all kings had to be role models, bear the rise and fall of the race, and obtain the faith of the people of the race. No one could casually become a king. To be able to become a king, no matter good or bad, it's always special." Han Fei was suspicious. "You just said the role models of the race. If the king is bad, is the whole race bad?" Peaceful rolled her eyes at Han Fei. "Maybe an evil king can also become a king by sacrificing the life of a race. I've seen it in a historical site before." "Oh no. Anyway, it's very difficult. If you want to become a king, you have to make a big noise." Han Fei thought to himself, "I know I have to make a big noise too. It's just a tribulation, and it's already so big. How can the movement of becoming a king not be big?" From the outermost branch of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, more than 10,000 kilometers away, Han Fei was the first to feel Little Gold's aura. Little Gold was moving towards him quickly. His speed made Han Fei sigh. This guy must have grown a lot. Han Fei thought to himself, Little Fatty is not weak. Under his supervision, it had already reached level 55 as early as the last battle on the island. After the battle on the island, although it died once, it must have absorbed some dragon essence power after its resurrection and leveled up 3 times in a row. Even the color of its skin became redder. After nearly 2 years of training, its strength was completely stabilized at level 58. Although it hadn't become a law enforcer yet, its speed was already very fast. After all, the more potential one had, the more difficult it was to grow up. Han Fei's rapid growth was based on all kinds of opportunities and life and death situations. Little Fatty had always been taken by Han Fei, which could be regarded as a small opportunity, but it was also very dangerous. In the Sea Demon realm, it was not a big deal to quickly grow to level 7 or level 8. However, the higher it was, the more difficult it was, and it had only been 3 years. Han Fei murmured, "I'll be thankful if Little Gold and the others can grow by 5 levels on average." After all, not only did he leave them millions of kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, but they had also accumulated a lot of resources. If they weren't even level 55, he would definitely kill them one by one. Swish, 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 a golden-red shadow streaked across the sky. It arrived in the sky in an instant, leaving a long white mark. "Master!" Even from a distance, Xiao Jin had already called out. When he came close, Han Fei looked at this guy. It was the oldest one, with a wingspan of 30 meters. This should be a small version, or it should be bigger. However, at the moment of landing, Little Gold's body shrank rapidly. In the end, it became only 3 meters in size and rubbed against Han Fei. Han Fei glanced at it, and a string of information appeared in his eyes. Name: Feather God Rain. Introduction: an ancient exotic species, a flying fish. It has 2 wings and 2 feet. Its wings are as sharp as blades and can break gold and stone. The Feather God Ray can fly in the sky and dive into the sea. Its speed is extremely fast, and its head is as hard as a mountain. When it grows into its complete form, It can gather the power of heavenly thunder. Level 57 Quality Legendary Ultra Quality. Contains spiritual energy 27540. Food Carnivorous. Prefers large fish. Combat skills Lightning Blade. Thunder Realm. Remarks current state. Growth period. Wow, it's already level 57, and it also has a Thunder Realm combat skill. It must be the Thunder Descent technique. Han Fei couldn't help but look at Tranquility in surprise. It's growing so fast? Tranquility said, your contractual spiritual beasts have accumulated enough spiritual energy in the early stage. Because their growth was suppressed for a long time in the early stage, they grew very fast after they were completely free. Besides, you left a lot of spirit awakening fluid, so it's normal that they broke through 2 minor levels. It's not fast. Han Fei thought to himself, it's not fast? I've never seen them grow so fast in all the time I've been with them. Han Fei couldn't help but pat Little Gold's head. Not bad, not bad. Let's go home. Putting Little Gold away, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, where's the 9-tailed mantis shrimp? Where is it? Tranquility asked, can you feel it? Han Fei replied, I'm feeling it. It's not moving at all. Han Fei thought to himself, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp is not very reliable. I have to go and take a look. The whole sea was called the whole sea because it was full of holes, which was the best place for insects to live. Although the White Shell Royal City had retreated, the daily battles on the front line would not stop, especially in the whole sea. If the battles here stopped, God knew how much the insect army would multiply. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp, a mantis shrimp, had been regarded as an alien since it joined the army of insects. Although the 9-tailed mantis shrimp still couldn't talk, it was much smarter than ordinary insects. At this moment, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp was leading 3,000 insect troops to attack a battlefield. On this battlefield, the Sea Clan Hermit Sickle Crab was charging. As its name suggested, the hermit sickle crab was a hermit crab with a shell. It attacked with the axes sticking out of its shell, and was good at group battles. The sickle tornadoes they could form could easily annihilate ordinary sea demon-level insects. Under normal circumstances, the zergs on the battlefield would either charge or hide in the holes to ambush the zergs. But the 9-tailed mantis shrimp came and the situation changed. Swish, swish, swish from the hole, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp's 9 tails rose to the sky in the shape of a spiral, destroying the enemy's camp from the inside and drilling a big hole in the ground. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp roared, "Kill!" Countless springs gushed out from the ground, and 3,000 insect troops, each holding a single horned thorn, rushed out of the soil like thorns. Puff, puff, crack, crack. The ground was full of broken shells, and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp won the first battle. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp commanded, "Spiral Thorn Array, activate." The 3,000 insect troops floated in the water, forming a large semicircular shield, and aimed their horns at the enemy camp. Swish, swish, swish. All the insects began to spin, and Han Fei inexplicably thought of a phrase. 3,000 electric poisonous dragon drill. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp was very talented in commanding. A local battlefield was easily won, and less than 1/10 of the insect army died. An insect said respectfully to the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, "Big brother, let's go to the battlefield over there?" An insect buzzed, "Big brother, the big fat dragon is coming again." The 9-tailed mantis shrimps will transmitted. It's just a big fat dragon. Let's go, brothers, get it? The corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched. What the F***ck? Han Fei couldn't help but ask, who is a big fat dragon? Peaceful me. A soft insect called the rolling thorn flesh dragon. Because its body is full of thorns, it is very durable. The insects like to call it a big fat dragon. Han Fei didn't want to watch the show. He coughed and released his aura. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp was rushing to the forefront, leading the 3,000 troops, but suddenly his body froze. As soon as the 9-tailed mantis shrimp stopped, all the insects behind him stopped. An insect said, "Big brother, what's wrong? Big brother, do you feel something wrong? Big brother, are you hungry?" But the nine-tailed mantis shrimp twisted his buttocks and threw them aside. "Brothers, I have to go. My master is coming. Master, I miss you so much." The nine-tailed mantis shrimp jumped out of the water, and the 3,000 insect troops followed him. "Big brother, don't go. Big brother, your master is my master. We are on the same side." Smack! The nine-tailed mantis shrimp slapped the insect away with a chain. "Are you qualified? Go away." The nine-tailed mantis shrimp rushed to Han Fei's feet and rubbed his shiny armor on Han Fei's legs. "Master, you are finally back." At this moment, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp didn't look like a big brother at all. He looked very obsequious. Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, "That's a good title. In just a blink of an eye, you have become a big brother?" The second chapter. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 1368. But the growth of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp really shocked Han Fei. With a swoosh, it had already reached level 59. Even a rocket couldn't be so fast. In his eyes, information emerged. Name: nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Introduction: a mutant mantis shrimp with fast speed and strong attack ability. It is good at hiding itself and sneaking up on prey. Its 9 tails turn into 9 divine chains, and it's extremely powerful. Level 59. Quality: legendary, contains spiritual energy greater than 29,998 points. Food: omnivorous, prefers shrimps. Battle skills: void chain, 9-tailed soul stab. Remarks: current status. Growth period. Seeing Han Fei's shock, Tranquility said, "This mantis shrimp has the strongest combat talent. In the entire Sea of Holes battlefield, as long as it could fight, it had basically fought all of them. It has fought more than once against those beyond its strength. It once charged at the Sea Spirit Army alone. That scene was almost comparable to the scene when you fought against 100 people alone." Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Looking at the cheeky 9-tailed mantis shrimp, he thought to himself, "Is this guy really so powerful? I thought it only knew how to dig holes." But even so, Han Fei still felt that it was too fast to jump 3 levels at once. However, Tranquility said casually, "The Insect King once gave it guidance for a few days." Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "Got it." Owing the Insect King a favor, Han Fei couldn't help but say, "I don't seem to be very familiar with the Insect King." "The Insect King is half a king." Han Fei was puzzled. "What do you mean?" "In the eyes of some people, you are a quasi-king. You don't have to worry too much about it." Han Fei nodded slightly and then kicked the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. "It's enough here. It's time to return to our own world." With a thought from Han Fei, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp disappeared into his body. Han Fei looked at Tranquility. Ignoring the exclaiming insects, he asked Tranquility where the dog had gone. Tranquility said, "In the Dark War Port. You went to see Her Majesty when you came back, so you went straight to the void." Well, it's right there." Han Fei thought, not bad. The Dark War Port had always been one of the most intense battlefields in the Waterwood Heaven. Being able to survive there for so long, this simp couldn't be any worse than the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Without much delay, he took the teleportation array. His current speed was not slow at all. In fact, Peaceful no longer treated him like a normal explorer. Instead, she treated him like a venerable one. Han Fei could barely keep up. Dark War Port, dark water. It was a dark water area that was covered by the seaborne prairie. A great disaster had happened here, resulting in all kinds of weird rocks and caves. Everything that one could imagine could be found in this place. Later on, perhaps because of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, the spirit plants here flourished and covered the land again. However, the water here was very deep, and there were very few coral reefs. Most of them were deep ravines. There were huge rattan algae growing from the bottom of the sea to the surface of the sea, and most of them were aquatic plants floating in the middle of the water. A transparent algae eel was moving quietly under an oily reef full of ordinary sea snails. The dark water domain was the common battlefield of the waterwood sky and the white shell kingdom. Therefore, the creatures here did not mind being attacked by explorer-level creatures at all. In fact, in this place, only those of the same realm could look for those of the same realm. Even if a law enforcer encountered a sea demon, he wouldn't attack. Of course, if a sea demon launched a sneak attack on a law enforcer, he would be able to fight back. The creatures that came here all knew that this was more of a form of training. If a sea demon reached the peak level of the sea spirit level here, they would retreat from the fearless barrier, and the fearless tree would not attack them. Because this was the arena of both sides, and it was the default rule. At this moment, the transparent algae eel's target was a bird, although it didn't know why a bird appeared at the bottom of the sea. Meow meow. Yes, when Han Fei heard the meow, he knew that it was a lackey. However, he didn't know when this guy would turn into a bird. The transparent algae eel moved very slowly. It thought that it was already a peak-level sea demon, and the big bird seemed much weaker than it. In an instant, the transparent algae eel attacked. However, when it pounced, it actually pounced on empty air. When it looked back, it saw a monster staring at it with round eyes. Where was the bird? Realizing something, the transparent algae eel tried to run away. However, it blocked the way with its wings and pressed its paw, almost killing the transparent algae eel. That wasn't all. With a swoosh, this guy disappeared and appeared again in the next moment. The lackey was carrying a sea urchin, a starfish, and a roll of seaweed. Han Fei was confused. What was this guy doing? What happened next almost dumbfounded Han Fei. This guy tore off the skin of the transparent algae eel with its paw, took out the sea urchin, peeled the starfish, and rolled the seaweed. Then, it lay on the ground like a dead dog and began to eat. Peaceful immediately said, "It must have learned from you. It's said that the beasts are best at imitating." Han Fei thought to himself, "I've never cooked for a lackey before. It's not like it's learning from me. It's self-taught." He regarded the transparent algae eel as a snack. Before he finished it, a shrimp soldier swam close. It was only a beginner sea demon. The lackey's ears pricked up when it was still far away, and it stood up with a swish. Han Fei thought to himself, "It's quite vigilant. 3,000 meters away should be far beyond its range of perception. Not bad." Peaceful chuckled. "Just keep watching." The lackey stuck out its tongue and wagged its tail, before it disappeared with a swish. Han Fei spread out his senses again, only to find that it was already before the shrimp soldier. So fast. Is this the sky escape technique? Han Fei was lost for words. You're using your secret technique to hunt regular low-level shrimp soldiers? In the next moment, the lackey slapped the shrimp soldier's face. The shrimp soldier was stunned. I've never seen such a creature before. Moreover, that figure seemed to be much larger than him. The shrimp soldier quickly roared, "Don't forget the rules. This is the dark water. You can't attack each other if your level is too high." Smack. Bootlicker slapped the shrimp soldier with his paw again, causing it to fall to the ground. The shrimp soldier roared angrily, "You want to break the rules?" Smack. "That's not the purpose of an adventure. This is a competition. We must be fair." Smack. The lackey slapped the shrimp soldier a dozen times in a row and suddenly said, "Take off your shrimp shell, and I'll let you go." The shrimp soldier said, "You're bullying me. Taking off my shrimp shell means taking away half of my life. Are you doing this on purpose so that other creatures can kill me? Experts behind me are coming. If you want to fight, find someone who is as strong as you." Han Fei also said, "Is this damn dog breaking the rules by doing this?" Peaceful nodded. "Yes, but it's not a big problem. I acquiesce. Also, this dog must be very cautious." There was indeed someone behind the shrimp soldier. It was an octopus in the sea spirit level. It was swimming close while wrapped in seaweed. The dog licked the shrimp soldier with his paw and knocked the shrimp soldier's head crooked. Then, he grabbed the shrimp soldier's whiskers. The dog bit down, and the silly dog actually spun in circles at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, the lackey suddenly loosened its mouth and threw the shrimp soldier away. Han Fei was confused. What has it been doing here for so long? Playing. Playing? As expected, in the next moment, Simp Dog's figure leaped up and returned to its nest. It lay on the ground and actually turned into a fish. Wait, why did the lackey turn into a fish? What kind of ability was that? But why did you leave a dog head on the outside after you turned into a fish? The head of a dog and the lower body of a fish was too shocking. The lackey was lying on its belly and sucking the food it had just made. After a while, the lackey seemed to notice that an enemy was coming. It immediately turned into a fish head, lay on the ground, and whipped the seabed with its tail. It seemed that the lackey was like a salted fish at this moment. But the danger didn't go away. The shrimp soldier had indeed brought a sea spirit-level octopus here. When the octopus found the lackey, it was slightly surprised to see that the lackey was lying on its belly. It wondered who killed it? Or was it playing dead? Right when the octopus was about to slap the lackey, fearing that it was a trap, the lackey was gone with a swish. Han Fei scanned with his perception, only to find that the lackey quickly ran to another nest more than 30 kilometers away, and lay there again. Han Fei asked again, "What is it doing?" "That's also its nest. There are many of its nests here. It's a coward that only dares to bully the weak and fear the strong." It found that the octopus was in the sea spirit level and left. Han Fei was lost for words. "That's it? Peaceful. Yes, that's it." Han Fei glanced at the octopus that had just entered the sea spirit level and thought to himself, "Are you AF * King Ancient Mutant? Why are you afraid of it?" On the other side, the lackey had already caught a sea urchin. The dog flipped its body over and used the sea urchin as a ball, kicking it between its four paws. Han Fei's face immediately turned dark. "I told you to cultivate, but you're just here for fun? How capable were you when you bullied the shrimp soldier just now? Why didn't you dare to attack me now that the octopus was here?" Swish! Han Fei jumped out and was about to kick it, but his foot was stuck in the air. Damn it, am I hallucinating? Han Fei saw an extremely weird message. Name Heavenly Hound Introduction, an ancient mutant that likes to live in the muddy water and Een Mountains. It looks like a white dog, but has a black head. Its voice is changeable and it often uses cat sounds to reduce its sense of threat. The Heavenly Hound has a pair of wings with blue feathers that can twist the void. Its escape skills are extremely fast. It's good at stealth and likes to bully the weak. The Heavenly Hound can swallow the sky and the sun, but it needs to be stimulated passively. Level 60 quality, Ancient Mutant Law Enforcement Water Barrier contains spiritual energy, can swallow unlimited spirits, food omnivorous, prefers meat combat skills, sky escape technique, Heavenly Devil Body, remarks, childhood. The lackey was startled and fled the moment Han Fei appeared. Han Fei rubbed his eyes and shouted, "Get back here! Master? Master, you're back! Master? Master, I missed you so much! Master, is there anything to eat? Master?" Han Fei ignored the lackey and looked at Peaceful. Peaceful curled her lips and said, "That's what happened. It eats every day, every day. It's always eating, but for some reason, its strength has been improving rapidly. Her Majesty said that maybe this is its Tao. It can become stronger even while lying down." Han Fei, Baji. The lackey stood up, stuck out its big tongue, and was about to lie on Han Fei's body. With a thought, Han Fei immediately took it in. Han Fei asked, "It's getting stronger even while sleeping?" Serenity said, "You don't say. It can be invisible. It sleeps half the day." Han Fei. Han Fei couldn't help covering his head. "Forget it. I don't have time to study this now. I really have to go back." The third chapter took 1 day longer than expected. Tomorrow, end of this chapter. Chapter 1369. Han Fei had been in the Shuemu heaven for almost 3 years. Except for the first few days, Han Fei stayed here to transcend the tribulation. After that, Han Fei didn't stay in the Cloud Sea Divine Tree for long. To be honest, Han Fei wasn't familiar with the Cloud Sea Divine Tree. He still found it novel to see things here and there. In the area below the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, the old treant named Qian Shu was still in class, but the students had probably changed again. As a matter of fact, as soon as the class started, they were already chattering non-stop. A bug buzzed, Grandpa Tree. I heard that Uncle Han Fei challenged the king in front of the Dark War port a while ago. Is this true? A little treant was also curious. Grandpa Tree, I heard that the genius of our demonic plant clan, Baimu, was defeated by the sea demons? 3 golden-feathered sparrows hopped around and chattered. I heard that Han Fei is from the Sky Clan. A human child immediately disagreed. Nonsense. He's clearly from the human clan. A golden-feathered sparrow said, then why? I heard that he's not good-looking? He must be from the Sky Clan. A human girl snorted. Impossible. He's just not that good-looking. 3 years ago, a few unsightly people came to our star division. Achoo, in the human settlement, the star division. On a leaf of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, a young man sneezed heavily. The young man's expression immediately tensed up. I actually sneezed? Beside him, a valiant girl asked, Xingyu, what's wrong? Xingyu shook his head slightly. Nothing. I just sneezed. Among the people sitting on a few Cloud Sea Divine Tree leaves, a beautiful girl suddenly opened her eyes. Chi-Chi, I just heard news about senior brother Han Fei in the great illusionary land. The young man who woke up later said, we are too weak, and senior brother can already kill a peak stage Dao-seeking great demon with one punch. His strength is obvious. The most important thing right now is that we can't be a burden to senior brother. Humph. On the leaf, a girl with the smallest head, who was unsmiling but cute, snorted. Su Sanqian, go to the whole sea. Su Sanqian curled his lips. Su Daiji, I'm your brother. Su Daiji, all the more reason to go. When I become a venerable, I will beat all of senior brother's enemies into iron-headed fish. If Han Fei were here, he would definitely be surprised that Su Daiji and the other 4 who were taken away by Diwu Glimmer actually lived on this Cloud Sea Divine Tree. As long as he stayed in the Cloud Sea Divine Tree for a little longer, as long as he wandered around the various human tribes, there was an 80% chance that he would meet them. Although there were too many humans, his junior brothers and sisters were too famous. As long as Han Fei came to this tribe, he would definitely meet them. Whether it was the Life Queen's arrangement or pure coincidence, since Han Fei did not meet them, no one mentioned this to him. On the contrary, Su Daiji and the others all knew clearly that Han Fei had reached the level of challenging the kings in the Waterwood Heaven. And Han Fei's face was black at this moment. This was the second time in 3 years that he had come to the demonic forest passage, and he heard people talking about him again. This time, when the teleportation array lit up, everyone's eyes were immediately attracted. They thought to themselves, who is disturbing me during class? But immediately after, everyone reacted and exclaimed, Han Fei, he's Han Fei. To these children, Han Fei seemed to be too unique. Therefore, they could recognize him at a glance. Han Fei's expression immediately turned ugly. Many people hurriedly covered their mouth. The Zerg hooked their mouths with their claws, the tree men used their branches to cover their faces, and the sky race used their wings to cover their entire bodies. Only the human youths were dumbfounded. There was also a young man who hurriedly bowed in shock. Greetings, Envoy Jing. Everyone came back to their senses and said, Greetings, Envoy Jing. Seeing that Jing and Han Fei had arrived together, the old tree man seemed to have expected something. He immediately said slowly, Children, class ends early today. Take a day off. If it were any other day, everyone would naturally be happy to have a holiday. But these few days they still wanted to stay. However, they were all sensible children. As soon as they saw Han Fei, they roughly knew what Han Fei wanted to do. This was the passage between the two worlds. The old tree man had mentioned the Waterwood Heaven and the Yin-Yang Heaven more than once. Although the old treant knew very little about the Yin-Yang sky, he did have some understanding of some ancient records. Besides, the last time Han Fei came here, he said that the human race of the Yin-Yang Heaven was at war. Therefore, in the subsequent classes, the old tree man also mentioned it a lot. The human youths immediately understood. I hope that Master Han Fei can defeat the sea demons and revitalize the human race. A girl's eyes flickered. I hope that Master Han Fei can become a human king as soon as possible, wipe out the sea demons and settle the war. Master Han Fei. For a moment, the human youths all talked at once. Although they were immature, their expressions were quite serious. In the Waterwood Heaven, the human race was in decline. The 4 clans lived under the Cloud Sea Divine Tree. Although the atmosphere was harmonious, they were rootless. In order to survive, the humans here had given up many things that humans should have. They didn't even know what land was. Although this price brought them the advantage of being handsome, it also made them evolve into another branch of the human race. Fortunately, it hadn't been a long time, so the characteristics of the human race were still greatly preserved. Han Fei nodded slightly. Okay. When I return to the Yin-Yang Heaven, wipe out the sea demons, and let the human race rise again, I will come again. The students left one after another, and old man Qian Shu sighed slowly. Emissary Jing, I'll release Wuya now. Jinger nodded slightly. Qian Shu, Wuya has been there for more than 10,000 years, right? Qian Shu said leisurely, more than 12,000 years. He should have received the corresponding punishment for all the things he did before. Han Fei was slightly shocked. This was a demon plant. Could easily live for more than 10,000 years. However, hearing that Wuya was being punished, Han Fei couldn't help but be curious. Was Senior Wuya punished to guard the demon plant channel? Jinger said, at that time, the demon plant clan was in decline, and Wuya practiced evil arts and stole the power of the Cloud Sea Divine Tree. Her Majesty punished him to guard the demon plant channel, and when the demon plant channel is needed in the future, his sin will be pardoned. Han Fei raised his eyebrows. That's quite a harsh punishment. More than 10,000 years. 3 generations of explorers would probably die of old age. Qian Shu said, I also participated in what happened back then. From now on, it's my turn to guard that place. Qian Shu said very calmly, as if he had been preparing for this for a long time. Han Fei thought that a peak-level explorer, or even a demi-venerable, was teaching here, and he seemed to understand something. However, this was someone else's family business. The Life Queen didn't think it was a big deal, so Han Fei didn't ask further. Jinger said, it's been so long. Wuya's punishment should be enough. Let him out. Whether this demon forest channel can be opened depends on you, Han Fei. Han Fei thought to himself, I won't open this demon forest channel before I have the power to fight against a king. Unless you come to help me. Han Fei said, no problem. When I'm in charge of the Yin-Yang Heaven, I'll open this road. Han Fei didn't give a clear answer, and the Yin-Yang Heaven that Han Fei said would probably be a demi-venerable or even a king. In Qian Shu's view, it was almost impossible for him to do that without thousands of years. Therefore, he had already prepared to sleep in the demon forest channel for a while. The roots of the 1,000 trees pierced out hundreds of origin points in the air. The strange combination of patterns gradually lit up the ancient teleportation array not far away. With a burst of light, the teleportation array opened, and a withered branch slowly stretched out from it. Qian Shu said, Wuya, it's been more than 10,000 years. You can come out now. The old voice of the leafless tree swayed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. Wuya knows that he has sinned. Now that I'm out, I'll teach here like Qian Shu, okay? The Life Queen's voice sounded softly. Okay. Hearing the Life Queen's words, Han Fei saw that after the withered branch stretched out, the surrounding spiritual energy gathered crazily. Then, the withered vine swelled and grew big branches. Green leaves covered this place at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the leafless tree appeared. However, the leafless tree at this time was completely different from the one he saw in the Demon Forest Channel. If the leafless tree in the Demon Forest Channel was a withered and dying tree, then the one in front of him seemed to be in its youth, lush, full of leaves. A massive amount of spiritual energy was gathering, and the Life Queen's voice rippled. Perception is forbidden here. Han Fei felt that the aura of the leafless tree began to soar wildly. From the demonization realm to the sea demon realm in an instant, then to the sea spirit realm, and then to the explorer. He didn't even need to go through the heavenly tribulation. Even so, his strength was still soaring. The Life Queen gave him an immeasurable fruit and poured a spiritual spring into it. She continued, "You're stuck in the demi-venerable realm and are not allowed to make a breakthrough. Suppress your strength so that you can make a breakthrough in battle in the future." The branches of the leafless tree swayed. "Yes, Your Majesty." After that, Leafless looked at Han Fei. "I'm afraid that there will be changes in the Yin-Yang heaven. You'd better go back early." Han Fei's face suddenly changed. Changes? The Demon Forest Channel has never been connected to the Yin-Yang heaven. How do you know that? There will be changes in the Yin-Yang heaven? The leafless tree's voice was leisurely. "Have you forgotten who sent you out? Although I can't investigate too much, something may have been dug out from the Demon Forest Channel, where you went out before. It was too noisy, so I went out to have a look." Han Fei asked eagerly, "Do you know what happened?" The leafless tree's branches trembled. "I don't know. However, since the noise can be transmitted to the Demon Forest Channel, it should be a big one." Han Fei said solemnly, "Let's not delay. I'll go back first." The Qian tree said, "Please come with me." Chapter 1370. Demon Forest Channel. As soon as Peaceful entered this place, she was nervous. What a strong seal! Han Fei glanced at Peaceful. Her aura had quickly dropped from the venerable realm to the demon transformation realm. It was no wonder that her expression was so tense. If someone attacked her at this time, the consequences would be unpredictable. However, Peaceful was only a little surprised, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. "It's not completely suppressed. My realm is suppressed, and part of my physical power can't be used. However, the characteristics of a venerable are still there. I can still be reborn from a single drop of blood, and my physique is not weak to the demon transformation realm." Han Fei also felt that his physical power, except for his own unique strength, had all disappeared. However, Han Fei didn't panic. If there was no accident, his current physique should be stronger than Jing Er's. For those who didn't follow the path of body refinement, entering this place, not only would their realms drop, but even their physique would drop by at least 2 realms. The difference between body refinement and non-body refinement was reflected here. After entering here, Han Fei was about to ask how to get out, but then he saw the leafless tree with only 2 branches left here. Qian Shu explained, "Leafless has been here for too long. He was so bored that his broken body gave birth to a new body, so he left his broken body here." With that, Qian Shu waved his vine hand casually, and the 2 branches were broken. Qian Shu handed one of the branches to Han Fei and said, "In the future, with this branch alone, you can open the way to the demon forest in the nearby area." Han Fei said, "Senior Qian Shu, be careful when guarding this place. The sea demons also have a way to enter this place. Although they are only in the demon transformation realm, Senior Leafless has broken several branches." Qian Shu said unhurriedly, "Not really. The reason why Leafless branches were broken is that most of his power was used to give birth to a new body. Within 1,000 years, I won't give birth to a new body, so if the sea demons dare to attack, I won't let them succeed." Hearing this, Han Fei immediately breathed a sigh of relief. However, on second thought, actually, it doesn't matter if they succeed. The opposite side is the Cloud Sea Divine Tree, which has many strong masters. They can easily crush them to death. Qian Shu, sea monsters don't even think about tarnishing the Cloud Sea Divine Tree. Ningjing said, it's nothing more than killing a few more sea demons. It's not very meaningful, so there's no need to lure them out. Furthermore, this is your problem, not our Shuemu skies. Han Fei shrugged and said, Senior Qian Shu, please send us out. Thousand Tree could not help but look at Peaceful. Serenity, you too, Peaceful said. This is the Queen's arrangement. You don't have to say anything. Yes, silent messenger. Qian Shu probably knew the leafless tree very well, so he picked up a branch and a blue light bloomed in his hand. However, the small branch pierced through the air like a stick striking the sky, opening up a crack. Seeing this method, Han Fei frowned. Although the Qian Shu looked gentle and had taught for so many years, the Qian Shu was more direct and violent than the leafless tree. Of course, Wu Yi had been here for too long, and it was conceivable that some of his spirit had been worn down. Han Fei didn't take it seriously and looked at Peaceful. With a whoosh, the two of them disappeared into the passageway. The moment they went out to sea, Han Fei scanned with his perception. Because the range wasn't large, nothing special happened. This place was close to the 10,000 Demon Valley, about hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. It was not unusual to see ordinary sea demons hunting for treasures. Even Peaceful's perception couldn't extend to the 10,000 Demon Valley at once. However, Peaceful frowned slightly and looked in the direction of the 10,000 Demon Valley. There are remnants of the sea demon Venerable's aura. In that direction there is a lot of demonic energy. It should be the place where sea demons gather. Are you going to destroy it? Han Fei's lips twitched. Don't worry. I just came back and don't know anything. If that place is still the place I know, it won't be too difficult to destroy it. So, I'm not in a hurry. Peaceful nodded. Okay. Now, where are we going? Han Fei turned his head. Let's go. Go in that direction. There is a beautiful sea area called the Pearl Divers Port. The coral reefs stretch for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and pearl divers search for treasures every day. Shall I take you there? Peaceful's eyes lit up. Pearl divers? What's so interesting about pearls? Han Fei's lips curled up. When the number of any kind of creature reaches a certain level, it will look different. Just take a look. In fact, he was just passing by. He took Peaceful around and patrolled it again. The two of them crossed the void. With Han Fei and Jing Er's speed, it would only take them a few hours to cover the distance of 300,000 to 400,000 kilometers. If they walked fast, it wouldn't even take an hour. Several hours later, when Han Fei saw the Sea of Pearls, he couldn't help but exclaim, I'm finally back. Sure enough, no matter how good other people's homes are, it's still the best to be at home. However, Han Fei scanned and found something wrong. There were very few pearl divers today, but there were a lot of guards around. There were as many as 10 law enforcers. Seeing that many coral reefs had collapsed, Han Fei immediately thought, not good. Did something happen in the Sea of Pearls? Peaceful said in surprise, wow. Such a place is quite peaceful. However, in that direction there is a weird building emerging from the sea. What's that? Han Fei was intrigued. Was Jing Er's perception so powerful? From this position, it should be more than 50,000 kilometers away from the Pearl Divers Port. Han Fei said, that's one of the human settlements. Let's go and take a look. A moment later, hardly had Han Fei arrived when he found that there weren't many people at the Pearl Divers Port. The Pearl Divers Port was the main source of income for the Scattered Stars Island. There were so few pearl divers, but so many guardians? At this moment, Han Fei sensed that there were 2 explorers guarding the Pearl Divers Port. Before, Han Fei wasn't strong enough, so he didn't know exactly how many explorers there were on the Scattered Stars Island. At this moment, Han Fei was already half a venerable, and his soul was even stronger than the so-called peak-level explorers. So, after a brief perception, he found that something was wrong. Peaceful said, "Well, I think something might have happened here. To the east of me there must have been a great battle." Han Fei's heart immediately became heavy. Jing was pointing at the scattered stars island. Chilla, paying no more attention to the pearl diver's port or enjoying the scenery, Han Fei simply tore open the void and stepped in. On the scattered stars island. At this moment a storm was brewing. At this moment there were more than 50 battlefields large and small on the island. It was a full-scale attack on the island, which had been going on for days. Fierce battles were going on along the coast of the scattered stars island. In the offshore area, countless fishing boats were floating in the sky. Explorers were guarding the sky, and law enforcers were commanding the battle from below. Those people's fishing boats were floating in the sky, and they were using hook techniques to kill enemies. It was obvious that they were from the Guild of Fishers. In the waters slightly further away, countless hunters of the pioneers were hiding everywhere, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. On the coast, almost all the guards of the scattered stars island had been sent out. Some were fighting and some were resting. It was a cycle. The patrols around the island were too busy to slow down. In the sky above the scattered stars island, they had no time to slow down. They were all running at full speed. In the sky, a fishing boat flew by and a captain roared, hurry up and reinforce the Hell Beach. The scorpions there are exploding." Someone stopped him in midair and roared at the team, "I don't care which team you're from, leave half of your men to me. The Path of Giants is in urgent need of reinforcements." The captain roared, "There's no one. 2 groups of people have been borrowed from our team. Go to the command center and apply for reinforcement." The man roared, "Can't you spare even one person?" Seeing this, the captain immediately took a breath. "Old Wu, you're most familiar with the Path of Giants. You've fought there for more than 3 years. Remember, you're not allowed to die." In the team, a middle-aged soul warrior took a deep breath. "Okay, I'll go. Reinforce them as soon as possible." On the scattered stars island, the 5 command centers were already in an uproar. It was because too many people had come to seek a decision. Therefore, in the central city of the scattered stars island, including the central city, all the command centers had been divided into many groups. Some of the smaller battlefields had even been forcibly stationed there. For this reason, Shueishenqi specially emphasized that any major decision made by the members of the command center must be confirmed by their superiors before it could be implemented. Once there was something difficult to solve, no matter how urgent it was, it must be reported to the command center. Of course, this was only the situation on the scattered stars island. Along the coast, a large number of reserve troops were running around, being dispatched and transported away in wave. This also showed that the scattered stars island was actually not the most difficult. After all, there were still backup forces that could continue to fight. However, to the west of the scattered stars island, in the outer sea area, about 5,000 to 10,000 kilometers away from the island, the battle situation was much more complicated. Here, on the human side alone, there were more than 2,000 hidden fishers, more than 100 law enforcers, and more than 10 explorers. They were fighting crazily. On the sea demon's side, the number of people was more than double. The blood here was surging, the waves were surging, and the blood almost contaminated the sea. Puff, someone fought 1 against 2 and was pierced by a harpoon. Seeing that there was no hope of survival, he threw the long sword in his hand and leaned forward. Explode. Song Yi was the captain of a 5-person team. As a manipulator, she and the spirit gatherer were the only 2 left in the team. The other 3, the armorist, the soul warrior, and the hunter, had all died. Not far away, there were at least 3 squads fighting with all their might. They slashed through the waves, attempting to rescue the 2 of them. However, there were dozens of half-mermaids who surrounded them but didn't kill them, using them as bait. Boom! A giant waterman jumped out of the water and attacked, causing the internal organs of the spirit gatherer in the team to be shattered, and he could no longer survive. In such a fierce battlefield, once the spirit gatherer died, the others' fighting time was limited. However, there were too many sea demons and they kept coming in desperation. One team could only rush over crazily. Song-E roared angrily, "Don't come over, don't come over!" But as soon as she said this, harpoons swung and whales rushed. The sea god's strike swept across, and the team was instantly annihilated. Next to Song-E, the spirit gatherer shouted, "Song-E, self-destruct. Otherwise, we will become their tools to lure and kill our comrades." Suddenly, half of the mermaids broke out of the water, holding 2 spears. Because their speed was too fast, they pierced through the 2 in an instant. When the other half-mermaids saw this person, their faces all changed. This half-mermaid had an extraordinary origin and was said to be a heavenly talent of the royal city. His strength was indeed not to be underestimated. And this half-mermaid smiled. "Humph, you want to self-destruct in front of me? I'll let you continue to listen to the wailing of human beings. The human race will eventually perish. Our oceanic race is the supreme ruler of this vast sea region." Just as this half-mermaid carried the 2 people and sighed proudly, a voice suddenly sounded. "The king of fish sh*t? Go to the 9 nether yellow springs." Who? Chapter 1371. The so-called heavenly talent of the royal city was shocked. This voice suddenly appeared, and he didn't even notice it. "Are there any experts of the same realm on the human side? I heard that you are very arrogant?" The half-mermaid was shocked to hear the voice. Without even turning his head, he exerted his strength with both hands, intending to directly press these 2 people and use them to fight. However, he was shocked to find that he couldn't move anymore. The terrifying pressure and dense killing intent were like a head-on blow, directly shaking him to the point his legs went soft. In the void, a voice shouted, "How dare you, an explorer, participate in the battle of sea demons? Do you want to be punished by all of us?" Han Fei grinned. "Punished? Haha, I'm right here. Why don't you try?" Beside him, Song-E and the little mermaid who were saved by Han Fei looked at Han Fei in astonishment. Song-E even took a breath. "Are you Han Fei?" Han Fei glanced at him indifferently, thinking that he didn't know him. Turning his head, he made up his mind and took a step forward. In an instant, he appeared in front of a sea demon. Han Fei didn't need to do anything at all. He smashed the sea demon with his physical strength. Swish, swish, swish. Han Fei's figure shot out like an arrow, killing a sea demon with every step he took. What kind of bullsh*t talk about king against king, general against general, soldier against soldier? As long as none of the sea demons could escape, it was not a big deal. Hum. With a flash between Han Fei's eyebrows, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, Little Fatty, Little Gold, Little Black, and Little White appeared one after another. The only one who didn't appear was Simp Dog. On one hand, it was because he had too many contractual spiritual beasts. Although the human side was his ally, he didn't know what would happen if the people in the 1,000-star city heard about it. Han Fei stepped into the air, and the illusion of mountains and rivers appeared. Han Fei shouted, "Everyone, stop the opponents and don't let them escape." Countless human hidden fishers were stunned. The law enforcers also looked at him. "Who is this? Have we met before? Why are you giving orders?" An explorer asked, "Who are you? Do you know what you are doing? The enemy is several times larger than me. How can you intercept them?" Swish, swish. A blue and a red color appeared at the same time. Han Fei roared, "Water luster, fire seed block this place. Don't let anyone escape." Then, the green vines spread out from all directions, and the blade light pierced through the air. Tree spirits entangled demons, punishment saber/enemies. Nine-tailed mantis shrimp, little gold, little fatty, attack at will. As he spoke, he activated the Beast King technique, the agility of wind, the Heaven Void divine walking technique, and the void lines. Pu. In the battle not far ahead. As soon as they met, the three sea spirits were instantly killed by Han Fei. The three law enforcers who were fighting fiercely with them didn't even see Han Fei's figure. Although the enemies in front of them were moving, when they looked again, they found that their bodies had been split into pieces and they had already died. It was so fast that even these sea spirit realm half-mermaids didn't know it. Scoundrel, stop. Not good, the newcomer is very strong. In the void, someone had just stepped out. When he saw this scene, he immediately shouted, "Not good, the human race's experts are already unscrupulous. Bullying the weak and breaking the rules? Quickly go back and inform them." Swish. A flash of cold light dazzled between heaven and earth. Before this person had time to escape, he was slaughtered by a sword strike. In the sky, someone could see a corner of the outside world. Seeing this, he sneered, "Shueishenqi is lawless. He's announcing the arrival of the war in advance. Retreat." Among the humans, a middle-aged man was surprised to see the person who attacked. Is that Han Fei? He had met Han Fei before. Although it was just a meeting, he used to work for Shueishenqi. He naturally knew that Shueishenqi's attitude towards Han Fei was unusual. He had been present outside the primordial battlefield back then. It was all because Han Fei obtained the sea-quelling painting that the Venerable beat up many strong masters of the Thousand-Star City. It could be seen that Han Fei's identity was not ordinary. At this moment, Shueishenqi was not here, so he was in charge of this place. He immediately shouted, "Everyone, entangle the opponents. Don't let anyone go." And as soon as this person's voice fell, in the void, a shadow passed by. A spear radiance struck, and a high-level Tao-seeking realm great demon exploded in an instant. In an instant, many Tao-seeking state demons panicked. Where is he? Why don't I see anyone? Unfortunately, when all of their senses swept over, they still didn't find anyone. Even the humans were dumbfounded. What kind of means is this? Is there an unknown strong master who has taken action? But Jing saw it clearly in the distance. In her view, the battlefield in front of her was not very big. In the Sea of Flames or the Dark War Port, such battlefields were common. However, at this moment there was a huge gap in strength between the two sides. Han Fei tried to change the situation of this battle alone and didn't want anyone to escape? Even someone who just entered the Exalt realm might not be able to accomplish such a feat. In particular, Han Fei's sneak attack in the void almost fooled her. When her perception swept across the void, she found a humanoid black shadow in the normal void. That figure had no physical body at all. It was just a void. If it hadn't attacked just now, she wouldn't have noticed it. An incarnation? Jing was a little dumbfounded. Where did this incarnation come from? What was this external incarnation made of? She had been with the Queen for so long and had heard a lot of incarnation methods, but she had never seen this one. Puff. When the two Tao-seeking state demons died, everyone was just surprised, but they didn't retreat. They should have had a chance to retreat. At the beginning, even if Han Fei attacked with all his strength, and the human explorers wanted to entangle him, someone would definitely escape from here. But at this moment, Han Fei's white mist body had already stepped into the void. With a sweep of the sword-drawing technique and a turn of the stars, in an instant, another two Tao-seeking great demons died. And this was just the result of the white mist body. The black mist body was even more amazing, killing the enemy invisibly. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of tearing and explosions echoed. Anyway, at the moment when Han Fei entered the void, 5 Tao-seeking state demons died. That number scared everyone silly. Someone shouted, "Run away!" However, That person only had time to shout out before he was enveloped by a black fog that suddenly descended. He felt that his vitality was flowing away crazily. Ah! On the human side, no matter whether Han Fei was sneak attacking or not, anyway, in the blink of an eye, he had killed 8 Dao-seeking state demons in a row. This strength was so terrifying that people couldn't look at it directly. The leader roared, "Kill! None of you are allowed to leave." There was no need for this person to say anything. In fact, someone had already done so. Even if they burned their essence blood and consumed their vitality, they had to keep the opponent for a while. At least, this group of people on the scattered stars island was definitely united. How could they let go of the opportunity to kill the enemy? And in Han Fei's heart, the old turtle's voice said, "Finish the battle quickly." With so many Dao-seeking state demons dying, the opponent's venerable will definitely notice. Swish, swish, swish. With the agility of wind and the heaven void divine walking technique, Han Fei was extremely fast. There was no semi-venerable powerhouse here, not even a peak-level Dao-seeking cultivator. What if Han Fei let them escape? How humiliating would he be in front of Jing? After all, the strongest here was just a guy in the same realm as him, not even half a realm higher than him. Han Fei didn't even know where these Dao-seeking state demons came from. In the 10,000 Demon Valley, only Blue Feather was at the peak level Dao-seeking. Or rather, he might be a semi-venerable. Among the other 8 wings of Blue Feather, only Qian Yanning, who ranked first, had broken through to the Dao-seeking state. Jiu Honghai, who ranked second, was crushed by old Zhang's array. Halve Chongfeng, who ranked third, might have broken through to the Dao-seeking state. However, it had only been a few years. Of course, those were the powerhouses of the 10,000 Demon Valley that Han Fei knew. And these people in front of him, he had never seen or known any of them. Besides, there were more than 10 Dao-seeking state demons. Something was definitely wrong. Han Fei's first reaction was that there was also a royal city in the Yin-Yang heaven. When he was in the 10,000 Demon Valley, many people used going to the royal city as bait to lure people to cultivate and become stronger. Puff! Under the encirclement of the two, Han Fei suddenly appeared and blew up the last one with a punch. Then he stepped out of the void with an ugly look on his face. The 10,000 Demon Valley is indeed no longer the original 10,000 Demon Valley. In an instant, he killed more than a dozen Dao-seeking state demons. This was the source of Han Fei's confidence. This was the power of a semi-venerable. Ordinary semi-venerables couldn't compare with Han Fei's strength. In the sea, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and the punishing saber were the fastest at killing sea demons. Han Fei saw that the 9-tailed mantis shrimp's latest inherited combat skill was the 9-tailed soul stab, which was extremely extraordinary. The 9 tails turned into 9 void spears, stabbing one demon at a time. Among the 9 stabs, at most one could survive. The one who survived was only able to protect his soul. But even so, he couldn't withstand the second stab of the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Although Little Gold couldn't use the new combat skill, his wings were sharp and his speed was extremely fast. Wherever he passed, the sea demons were all shattered. Even semi-divine weapons couldn't stop Little Gold's sweeping wings. Although Little Fatty was slow to resist the enemy, it was indeed the most terrifying one. Every time the sucker caught a sea demon would die. The failure rate was 0. As for the punishing saber and waterluster, because they were both explorers, their speed of killing enemies was extremely fast. Especially the punishing saber, he shuttled back and forth like a shadow and almost collapsed the battlefield. The battlefield was originally extremely unbalanced, but under the charge of the punishing saber and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were harvesting wheat. Seeing this, Han Fei grabbed several Dao-seeking state demons with one hand and shouted, "The sea demon powerhouses are dead. Kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive." At this moment, some human powerhouses came over. Among them, the middle-aged man who had seen Han Fei said, "Han Fei, this is not appropriate. The enemy's powerhouses must have known and must be on their way." Chapter 1372. This battle went on very quickly. Han Fei wasn't worried about how fast the sea demon Venerable would come. At least within a radius of 100,000 kilometers, there shouldn't be a very powerful sea demon Venerable. The only thing that bothered Han Fei was that the old turtle said that there were two semi-venerables or beginners fighting 50,000 kilometers away. In fact, this was not a threat at all. Otherwise, according to Peaceful's character, even if she didn't take action, she would tell him. Moreover, with the old turtle's perception of heaven's secrets, he didn't feel threatened even though he had calculated with his fingers. Therefore, Han Fei was sure that this seemingly huge battlefield was actually just a super-large-scale local battle. Perhaps the real purpose of the sea demons was to consume the basic combat power of human beings. Therefore, even though this battle seemed to be on a large scale, it was just a large-scale attack by the sea demons, the same situation as the Shuemu sky. For the real strong masters in the royal city, the life and death of the sea demons on the front line didn't matter at all. After all, there were simply as many sea demon cannon fodder as one wanted in the boundless ocean. However, human beings were different. The population base of human beings was far lower than that of marine creatures. They were not even on the same order of magnitude. In addition, due to the limitation of talent, human beings grew very slowly. Want to become a hidden fisher? They were all 1 in a million characters that were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Therefore, when he heard someone questioning him, Han Fei shouted, "I told you to do it, so do it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and end the battle." Han Fei's voice was indifferent and his eyes were cold, which directly shocked this person. In the man's mind, the scene of Han Fei's attack just now appeared. More than a dozen Tao-seeking state sea demons were killed by Han Fei in an instant. From the beginning to the end, the other party didn't even have a chance to escape. His attacks were so easy that it didn't look like the power that an explorer could exert at all. What was Han Fei's strength once upon a time? In less than 10 years, the little guy who was only a hidden fisher had grown to the point that he could kill big sea demons casually. The middle-aged man thought to himself, things have come to this. Han Fei has begun to kill regardless of the means. Even if he stopped now, some people had already seen it, so he might as well kill more sea demons. The middle-aged man yelled, "Kill them! Hurry up and attack!" Seeing this, Han Fei couldn't help but sneer. Years of tacit understanding had caused these people to be bound by the rules. Little did they know that if they hadn't taken action, more than half of the human hidden fishers would have been killed or wounded. Although Han Fei didn't know who arranged this battle, he didn't know. However, in his heart, Han Fei was a little cautious about the Sea Demon King City. The opponent's strategy wasn't small. No matter what, such a battle would be included in the opponent's strategy. The funny thing was that there were still some human experts who didn't notice it at all. Therefore, Han Fei had to take the Sea Demon Royal City's strategy seriously. The intelligence of Sea Demon powerhouses was no less than that of human powerhouses. At this moment, on the surface of the water, thousands of human hidden fishers felt that their blood was boiling. Unfortunately, after so many years, few people remembered what Han Fei looked like. After all, among these hidden fishers, only a few very senior hidden fishers knew Han Fei. Someone shouted, "It's Han Fei, the Han Fei who forged the Fei Yinmu furnace. He's back." Someone was shocked. So strong. What kind of means did he use? Punishing Saber and Little Gold couldn't be seen by ordinary people at all. Because it was too fast, people could only see the frequent appearance of void cracks and flashing golden light. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp and Little Fatty were the most powerful creatures they could see. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp's void chains stretched out one by one, piercing like spears. No matter how the other party defended, Almost no one could resist the power of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp's stab. Not to mention little Fatty, all the sea demons sucked dry in an instant. And all kinds of attacks fell on them, but they had no reaction at all. At this moment, Han Fei finally stopped hiding. In the past, he would hide some trump cards and even didn't want to reveal his contractual creatures. But now it didn't matter. After all, except for the Venerables, no one could stop him anymore. If a Venerable really came to attack, even if it was a dead end, he could still have peace, right? Han Fei even wanted to announce the news of his reappearance. It would be best if someone in the Thousand-Star City noticed and came to attack him. Back then, in those big families in the Thousand-Star City, even a peak-level explorer could kill him at will. Even if he tried his best, he was still no match for a casual blow. Now, a peak-level explorer wanted to try again? Who was the one who pressed who? All the explorers were attacking, and those sea spirit state sea demons didn't dare to stay at all. Unfortunately, because they couldn't tear the void. Even if some of them could escape through the void, how could they escape from the explorers? Therefore, in a moment, the sea demon army was one-sided, and the sea spirit state creatures died one after another. The remaining nearly 4,000 half-mermaids were being harvested. A half-mermaid roared, "Human beings, you're shameless. While our strong ones are not here, you dare to attack us with strong ones." Puff! As soon as the half-mermaid said that, Han Fei suddenly appeared. Facing these sea demons, Han Fei had no mercy at all. "Since you're bullying me with numbers, I'll bully you with strength." Only a moment later, when many explorers joined the battle, Han Fei heard a voice vibrating in the void. "Human, how dare you attack the weak? Do you want to break the rules?" Han Fei stood proudly with his hands behind his back. "Did you see me attack you? Just because you say the rules are the rules, who do you think you are? In the territory of the Scattered Stars Island, the rules are set by the Scattered Stars Island." Jing said, "A semi-venerable is coming. In the distance, 2 junior venerables are also on their way. Do you need me to take action? That person's strength should not be weak. He has already comprehended the great Tao." Han Fei curled his lips and smiled. "Then I have to hurry, but you'd better take a rest." Chilla! A crack was torn in the void, and a half-mermaid just pierced the space with a harpoon, leaving a dazzling and blazing blow in the sky like a meteor. At that moment, on the sea, countless people even forgot to fight. It was because that attack traversed half the sky, powerful beyond compare. Even the many human explorers who saw it were horrified. Someone said in horror, "Not good, it's a semi-venerable super powerhouse." Humph! Boom! As soon as the man said so, Han Fei raised his foot and moved 10 kilometers in one step, and a golden fist mark bloomed like the sun. With the help of the Beast King technique, Han Fei's invincible fist mark smashed the meteor-like blow. A wisp of resplendent fireworks exploded in the sky. The demi-venerable sea demon thought he could defeat Han Fei with a single blow. After all, in his view, Han Fei was just an advanced explorer, 2 levels lower than him. How could Han Fei be a match for him? However, as soon as Han Fei made a move, he easily crushed his full-strength blow. Not only that, even he didn't know how Han Fei moved 10 kilometers in one step and moved horizontally in an instant. Wow! Not good, what a strong human. The semi-venerable big demon thought of something and a battle suit appeared on his body. Facing a strong master like Han Fei, he had to take him seriously. Oh, but at the moment he put on the battle suit, a loud roar resounded through the sky. Under thousands of eyes, hundreds of ferocious beasts that looked like they came from ancient times stepped in the air and roared. The semi-venerable powerhouse had never seen such a scene before. Not to mention the hundreds of beast phantoms, the terrifying mental impact alone had already surpassed the so-called semi-venerable level. After Han Fei roared, the semi-venerable powerhouse knew that Han Fei might have hidden his strength. Despite the splitting headache, the 2 big shields in his body flew out and exploded. How could Han Fei allow these weapons, which were at least high-quality divine weapons, to explode? Otherwise, many humans in the sea would be seriously injured. Sword drawing technique. The sword split the void, and the terrifying explosion rushed into the void. Crack. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of armor shattering made people's blood freeze. Han Fei shouted, "You're just a semi-venerable. How dare you mess around on the Scattered Stars Island? Go to hell." Everyone in the sky and on the sea was dumbfounded. Didn't they say that this person was Han Fei? Why was he able to crush a semi-venerable in the void? The explorers were also horrified. When they heard of Han Fei's historical achievements had already popped up in their minds. After all, the Thug Academy had made a lot of noise in the Thousand-Star City. Others might not know, but as explorers, how could they not know? Today, Han Fei killed a semi-venerable with a sword, which shocked them. In the void, half of the big demon's body was cut open. Han Fei held the embroidery needle in both hands and pierced it, destroying its internal organs. Its vitality and soul were being forcibly swallowed by Han Fei. After another dozen minutes, with a swish, the void was torn apart. Han Fei held the half-mermaid semi-venerable in his hand and shouted, "Sea demons are tyrannical and bully the weak with numbers. Today they want to attack the weak of the human race, but I killed them on the spot. You saw it with your own eyes, right?" They clearly sensed that the void was shaking, which meant that the venerable big demon was about to arrive. Han Fei said casually and punched out angrily with a golden light condensed in his fist. The blood of this semi-venerable spilled all over the battlefield. All of a sudden, all the half-mermaids and half-mermaids on the battlefield fled, stained with blood. With a strong enemy like Han Fei on their side, how could they not run? "Xuexinqi, do you know what you are doing?" Hum. When the void was torn apart, Han Fei finally saw his acquaintances. However, Xuexinqi had become a venerable at this moment, which was a bit beyond Han Fei's expectation. As for the other person, he held a harpoon and shot 3 times in a row, trying to kill the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, Little Fatty, and Little Gold. Because Xuexinqi was a little late, he didn't have time to take action, so he just reminded Han Fei. Han Fei smiled, and with a thought, the 3 of them turned into streams of light and returned. And Han Fei's hand formed a fist seal and went straight to the sky. "You've only just entered the venerable realm, and you want to kill my contractual spiritual beast? Have I given you any face?" Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 1373. Seeing Han Fei's attack, the venerable couldn't help frowning. "If I'm not mistaken, this human should only be an advanced explorer. Why does he dare to attack me?" He slapped down casually and was about to turn around to deal with Xuexinqi. Obviously, although he was angry that Han Fei attacked a low-level sea demon, he didn't take Han Fei seriously at all. But in the next moment, his face suddenly changed. His palm print was shattered by Han Fei in an instant, and he couldn't even block Han Fei's punch? What? Han Fei had already appeared not far from him, holding the embroidery needle in his hand and smashing down one after another with shocking rod shadows. Xuexinqi was also very surprised. Han Fei could easily block the attack of a venerable? However, Xuexinqi was used to big scenes, so he was only surprised for a moment. Originally, Han Fei was Han Guangqu's son, which was enough for him to look up to. Besides, Han Fei had inherited the sea-quelling painting and was known as the top heavenly talent most likely to become a king. At this moment, it seemed to be a matter of course that Han Fei could fight a venerable. If not, how could Han Fei become a king? However, the sea demon venerable was horrified. His first reaction was that Han Fei had hidden his strength. However, according to the power of Han Fei's bombardment, there seemed to be no Taoist aura in it. No Taoist aura? Xuexinqi shouted, "Han Fei, let's attack together and stop him." Boom. Gotcha. The sea demon venerable blocked it with one hand, thinking that no matter how strong Han Fei was, without Taoist aura, what could his attack power do? However, when Han Fei's rod fell on his arm, he finally knew what it meant to feel great. How is it possible? Han Fei smiled. After activating the Beast King art, his strength had reached nearly 2,000 waves, and he had long surpassed the so-called semi-venerable realm. It could be said that Han Fei's current strength could crush this venerable in front of him to the ground. Even Shueishenqi couldn't help but take a breath. The short hammer in his hand stabbed violently, drilling a big hole in this person's battle suit. With a crack, this person's forearm was broken. Han Fei didn't show any mercy. The Monkey King's 3,000 strikes poured down like raindrops. After Shueishenqi made his move, he flashed directly below the two of them and tore open the void. Don't fight here. However, Han Fei had already blasted out ripples, causing billowing waves in the void and some dents in the sea. On the human side, the 8 explorers were roaring angrily in midair, blocking the terrifying waves for the humans. However, the sea demons were not so lucky. Because they were all small fries without the support of great monsters, even if they dove into the sea at the first moment, at least a few hundred of them were crushed to pieces by the aftershocks of the battle between Venerable Realm experts. And this was because Shueishenqi had blocked it. The sea monster was fleeing, and the punishing saber and the others were chasing it. Because the tree spirit was relatively slow, it mostly collected the scattered sea-swallowing seashells apart from entangling the enemies. Although these sea-swallowing seashells were no longer useful to Han Fei. After all, Han Fei had long surpassed the level of a hidden fisher. However, for the millions of ordinary people on the scattered stars island, they were all treasures, resources, and property. In midair, the sea demon Venerable took 100 strikes from Han Fei in a few seconds, and there were constant cracking sounds coming from his body. He didn't expect that Han Fei's power was so terrifying. This wasn't the power that a Tao-seeking state cultivator should have at all. The 1,000 waves was the peak. The semi-venerable realm was not just about the increase of power, but also about the understanding and application of the Great Way. Everyone's Great Way would eventually be transformed into power, added to their bodies, and made them stronger. However, the power of Han Fei's 100 consecutive overlapping waves could be said to be extremely terrifying. If the semi-venerable realm expert hadn't found a chance to escape, he would have been smashed to death by Han Fei. At this moment, Han Fei also felt an obscure power. Like a stacked wave, it actually pushed this person's body to gush out a force that stuck to his embroidery needle. However, even so, Han Fei's power still fell on the Venerable Realm expert through the tide-like power of Tao. As the infinity water stirred, Han Fei forcibly pulled the Venerable into the void. Shueishenqi shouted, "Everyone, return to the scattered stars island immediately." Shueishenqi also hurriedly entered the void. However, at the moment he rushed into the void, what greeted him was a terrifying impact of a huge wave. Some water sprayed directly on his face, forcing him to take 2 or 3 steps back. Han Fei detonated the infinity water, and the terrifying blow blew up the sea demon Venerable, making him bleed all over. In this terrifying explosion wave, Han Fei withdrew his hand and held his sword. Silver light flashed like lightning, and dazzling sword light soared into the sea. Walala, thud! Shueishenqi saw a pair of legs flying towards him. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but be horrified. What the hell is Han Fei's combat efficiency? Isn't it a bit too fast? On Han Fei's side, a large mass of black fog had already enveloped the Venerable and Han Fei. Ho! The 100 Beasts' soul-suppressing roar was activated. Bam! 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 The sound of explosions kept ringing. Suddenly, Han Fei was sent flying backward. A big golden carp forcibly rushed out of the black fog. It was the Venerable who had summoned his associated spirit. At that moment, the black fog collapsed. The old turtle couldn't withstand the impact of a Venerable alone. However, Han Fei, who was blasted back, twisted in midair and reappeared in the black fog that was about to collapse. This time, Han Fei didn't intend to hide his strength. Since he had encountered this battle and had the opportunity to fight with a venerable, why wouldn't he take action? Different from the Shuemu heaven, there were many strong masters in the Shuemu heaven, and there were nearly 100 venerables in each of the 3 royal cities. The Shuemu heaven didn't have many venerables, but how many were there in the Baibei royal city and the Blood Sea Divine Wood city? However, in the Yinyang heaven, every venerable was an extremely powerful figure. Therefore, it was very incredible for Han Fei to encounter a strange sea demon venerable as soon as he came back. If this venerable had appeared earlier, wouldn't Shueishenqi have had to call for help from the Thousand-Star City? Seeing this scene, Shueishenqi wasn't in a hurry. After going to that world, Han Fei's strength had increased by more than a little. In just 3 years, he had directly challenged a venerable? What kind of opportunity did Han Fei encounter over there to make him grow so strong? Shueishenqi stood proudly in the void, his voice sounding dignified. Do you need help? Han Fei grinned. No, I've always wanted to kill one. I didn't expect that I would have this opportunity as soon as I came back today. Seeing the opponent's Dao aura, the surrounding waves were obscure and it was difficult to cut through. Han Fei activated the Dao seed and shouted in his heart, "Seal the laws here." After more than 2 years, Han Fei had a little understanding of his own Dao seed. He could use some laws of Dao in a small range that wouldn't have too many changes. For example, if he restricted the spatial laws here, the opponent's Dao aura would be weakened by more than half. Bam! Of course, if he restricted the laws of Dao, Han Fei couldn't use any of them. He couldn't use any of them, including the draw technique and the sacrificing punch seal. However, this was the effect that Han Fei wanted. Without many techniques, he could only rely on his physical power. This was a special use that he had figured out, but it couldn't last long. In the words of the old turtle, this was interfering with the laws of Dao. And the laws of Dao had the power to repair themselves. Therefore, with Han Fei's current understanding of the laws, he couldn't make this situation last long. However, this moment was enough for Han Fei to have a good fight. When the sea demon saw that his Dao was blocked, he was horrified and wanted to escape. However, Han Fei was too fast. How could he let him succeed? Bam! Han Fei's punch hit the head of the sea demon venerable, as if hitting a sandbag. The sea demon venerable was knocked back dozens of meters and his face was crooked. Shueishenqi's eyelids twitched slightly. With a punch, the face of a venerable was deformed? Just how much power did he use? Although the sea demon venerable was hit by Han Fei, he immediately found that his physical power could still be used. He immediately fought back and punched at Han Fei. Idiot! In Han Fei's heart, the old turtle muttered, "An ordinary venerable is fighting with a body cultivator? Did his brain get caught in a crack in the void?" Even Han Fei laughed, watching the punch fall on his mouth, but he didn't care. Because at this moment, his fist the size of a casserole had already blasted out. Thud, thud, thud. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of fists hit the head of the sea demon venerable like raindrop. In the blink of an eye, the head of a giant lip black fish was blasted out by Han Fei. Obviously, the sea demon venerable had been beaten silly. Each of Han Fei's punches had a terrifying force of nearly 2,000 waves. No one could withstand it. On the fish's head, the scales were shattered, and there were dents everywhere that had been blasted. Ho! The soul-suppressing roar of beasts. The void lines. The black mist of the old turtle descended. The body of the sea demon venerable was aging at a speed visible to the naked eye. The disappearance of vitality couldn't be hidden from Shueishenqi's eyes. Shueishenqi shouted in a low voice, "Han Fei, have you cultivated evil arts?" Han Fei looked back. Evil arts? Of course not. What I'm walking on is the right path of a king. What you see is just the power of time. Regardless of whether Shueishenqi believed him or not, Han Fei continued to swallow. It just so happened that this was a real venerable. After devouring this fellow, his soul strength would surpass 40,000 point. In his heart, the old turtle said, 70 to 80% of his vitality was swallowed by me, and some was taken away by you. Do you want to be reborn from a single drop of blood? That's impossible. Han Fei smiled and 2 sledgehammers appeared in his hands. With a clang, the head of the sea demon venerable was smashed into pieces. Rumble, at this moment, the scorching sun was obscured by black clouds. Above the sea, the wind was surging, the black clouds gathered, and a red crack spanned thousands of kilometers. The heavy rain suddenly fell and instantly turned into blood raindrop. The heavens' cry fell. At that moment, the scattered stars island, the pearl divers port, the ancient battlefield, the 10,000 demon valley experts suddenly stood up one after another and raised their heads to look at the sky. There were actually supreme experts that fell today? And at this moment, Han Fei felt very comfortable. He had been thinking about it for a long time. Today, he finally slaughtered one. After slaughtering the venerable, Han Fei grinned and tilted his head to look at Xuexinqi. How is it? Second update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter.